They say in the beginning, there was the Word, but they neglect to mention the silence from which that word was born. A silence so profound, so complete, it contained everything that ever was and ever would be. It was not an absence, it was a presence, the womb of all creation, the canvas upon which reality is painted. That same silence, that same potent stillness, does not live in some distant, forgotten mythology. It lives in you, right now. It is the source from which your most powerful communication, the words that will echo in eternity, are born. You have come here because you wish to be heard. You wish for your words to land, to have weight, to create change. You have felt the deep frustration of speaking into a void, of your truth feeling like a feather in a hurricane, unnoticed, unfelt. You have watched others command a room with their voice and wondered what secret they hold. You believe it is a skill, a technique, a carefully rehearsed performance. But the secret is not in the performance. It is in the resonance. The truth is not found in learning how to speak, but in unlearning all the ways you have been taught to hide. This journey we are about to take is not about crafting the perfect sentence. It is not about body language or vocal tone or persuasive tricks. It is a journey inward, a journey back to the source. We will walk together into that great internal silence, the quiet chamber of the soul where your true voice resides. We will not add anything to you. We will simply strip away the noise, the fear, the need for approval, until all that is left is the pure, resonant frequency of your own being. Prepare to discover that your influence is not something you project, but something you are. Prepare to learn that the most memorable words are not spoken from the mind, but are released from the soul. We are here to remember a fundamental truth. The world does not bend to the loudest voice. It bends to the most authentic one. Let us begin. The source of all sound is silence. Let that thought settle. It is not a paradox, it is a fundamental law. Before the universe thundered into existence, there was a vast, immeasurable quiet. Before the note is played, the string is still. Before the word is spoken, the breath is held in a silent pause. We have been taught to fear silence, to fill it at all costs. We treat it as a vacuum, an awkwardness, a sign that something is wrong. We flood our lives with noise, with music, with podcasts, with the endless, frantic chatter of our own minds, all in a desperate attempt to avoid the great, still ocean of silence that lies just beneath the surface of our awareness. But in this avoidance, we have cut ourselves off from the very source of our power. Your quest to speak in a way that is remembered, to communicate with an influence that is felt deep in the bones of another, does not begin with learning new words. It begins by cultivating a friendship with the silence that you have been running from. Consider the state of your own inner world. For most, it is a relentless storm of noise, the voice of the past, replaying old conversations, old hurts, old triumphs. The voice of the future, rehearsing arguments that may never happen, worrying about outcomes you cannot control, crafting lists of endless tasks. There is the voice of the inner critic, the relentless judge that questions your every move. There is the voice of desire, the hungry ghost that is never satisfied. This is the static of the ego, a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety and agitation that you have become so accustomed to, you mistake it for yourself. It is the background noise against which you live your entire life. And from this noise, you attempt to speak. Your words, born from this inner chaos, become part of that chaos. They are reactive, not creative. They are defensive, not open. They are clouded with the energy of your inner state, tinged with neediness, with fear, with the desperate desire to be right, to be validated, to win. You speak, but the words feel hollow because they are born from a hollow place. You try to project confidence, but the tremor of your inner uncertainty leaks through. You try to speak of peace while your own mind is at war. The listener may not know why. They cannot pinpoint the reason with their logical mind, but their soul, their intuition, feels the discordance. They feel the static. And so, your words, no matter how eloquent, slide off them, unable to penetrate, unable to connect, unable to resonate. You are trying to shout over the storm inside your own head and wondering why no one can hear you clearly. Now, let us introduce the metaphor. Imagine your mind, your very consciousness, is a great bronze bell, a bell of immense size and potential hanging in the quiet temple of your being. For years, you have allowed the winds of circumstance and the frantic hands of your thoughts to shake this bell ceaselessly. It is constantly jostled, bumped, and rattled. And what sound does a bell make when it is perpetually shaken? It makes a jarring, clattering, unpleasant noise, a cacophony. It is a sound without purpose, without a clear note, without resonance. It is simply noise, meaningless and irritating. This is the mind lost in its own frantic activity. This is the source of the hollow words. The bell is making a sound, yes, but it is not making music. The practice, then, is not to strike the bell harder. It is not to shout louder to be heard over the din. The practice is to allow the bell to become still. This requires patience. It requires courage. It requires you to sit through the discomfort of the rattling as it slowly subsides. You do not force the bell to be still. You simply cease the shaking. You stop feeding the frantic thoughts. You stop engaging with the inner drama. You watch the voices, the worries, the plans, and you let them be without grabbing onto them. You let them pass like clouds in the sky. You are not the clouds. You are the sky. You are not the noise. You are the silence that holds the noise. As you practice this, something miraculous begins to happen. The clattering subsides. The jarring rattles fade. And for a moment, perhaps just a fleeting second at first, the great bell hangs in perfect stillness. It is heavy, solid, present. It is not empty. It is full. It is full of potential. It is full of silence. This is your natural state. This is your home base. From this place of profound inner quiet, your intention becomes clear. Now, imagine what happens when you introduce a single gentle touch to this silent waiting bell. A single clear intention, a single true thought, a word you truly mean. This is not a violent strike, but a conscious, deliberate touch from the core of your being. What happens? A single, pure note emerges. A tone so clear, so resonant, that it expands outward in perfect, shimmering waves. It fills the entire temple. It vibrates in the very air. Its echo travels for miles, long after the initial touch is gone. The note has power not because it is loud, but because it is pure. It is born of stillness. It is imbued with the weight and substance of the silence from which it came. This is the power you are seeking. This is the source of influential communication. Words that are born from your inner stillness carry this same resonant quality. When you speak from that quiet center, your words are no longer just carriers of data. They become vessels of presence. You are not just transmitting information, you are transmitting a state of being. You are offering the listener a taste of your own inner peace. Your voice, free from the static of the ego, becomes a clear channel. It has an authenticity that is undeniable. It has a weight that commands attention without demanding it. People will lean in, not because you are loud, but because the quiet power in your voice creates a space that feels safe, a space that feels true. They will remember how they felt in your presence long after they have forgotten the specific words you used. They will remember the resonance. They remember the peace. So do not begin by trying to change what you say. Begin by changing the place from which you speak. Find moments in your day to simply be, to listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole body. Listen to the hum of the world without needing to label it. Feel the air on your skin. Notice the space between your thoughts, the gap between the inhale and the exhale. That is the doorway. That is the entry point into the great inner silence. Do not be discouraged by the noise. The noise is simply the habit of a lifetime. Your work is not to fight the noise, but to fall in love with the silence it obscures. Make that silence your friend, your sanctuary, your source. For when you can stand firmly in the quiet temple of your own being and speak from the stillness of that sacred space, you will not need to raise your voice. The world will simply quiet itself to listen. That is the first step, not to speak, but to become silent. To understand that the most potent sound is born from the most profound quiet. From the fertile ground of silence, something begins to grow. It is not a thought, not an idea, not a word. It is a quality of being, a tangible energy that you begin to inhabit. This is presence. And this presence, this simple, profound state of being fully here, now, speaks with a volume and a clarity that your words can never hope to achieve on their own. You have felt it, even if you could not name it. You have walked into a room and felt the calm, centered energy of one person and the frantic, scattered energy of another before either has spoken a single word. You are not just a mind that thinks and a mouth that speaks. You are a field of energy, a broadcasting station of consciousness. The most fundamental question of communication is not, "What will I say?" but, "Am I here to say it?" We live our lives in a state of perpetual absence. We are ghosts haunting our own bodies. Think of the conversations you have had. You are sitting across from someone, your body is in the chair. You are nodding, making the appropriate sounds. But where are you really? Your mind is in the past, replaying an argument from this morning. It is in the future, worrying about a deadline next week. It is lost in a fantasy, a daydream, a judgment about the person in front of you. You are a house with all the lights on, but nobody is home. The person speaking to you feels this. They feel the vacancy in your eyes. They sense that they are speaking to a hollow echo, a polite automaton going through the motions. Their energy, their words, their very being meets a void. There is no connection, no exchange, no true communication. There is only the lonely sound of one person talking into an empty room. Now, recall a time you were with someone who was truly present. Someone who gave you the total, undivided gift of their attention. They weren't just listening to your words, they were listening to your being. Their gaze did not flicker, their mind did not wander. In their presence, you felt seen, you felt acknowledged, you felt safe. Their presence created a sacred space, a container in which you could unfold and be yourself. They may have said very little, but you walked away feeling nourished, heard, and deeply understood. That person was not performing a technique, they were simply inhabiting themselves, fully. Their presence was a silent declaration. You matter, this moment matters, I am here with you. That is an influence far more profound than any cleverly crafted argument. This is where our metaphor takes shape. You are a fire. You are not a picture of a fire or a story about a fire. You are a living, breathing fire. A small flame, perhaps, or a steady hearth, or a blazing bonfire. A fire does not need to announce its qualities. It does not shout, "I am hot." It does not declare, "I am bright." It simply is. And because it is, it gives off warmth. It provides light. Anyone who draws near it feels its influence as a natural consequence of its existence. This is the nature of true presence. It is the effortless radiation of your inner state. You do not have to try to be present. You do not have to act influential. You simply have to be. Be the fire. The world is full of people who are trying to be fires, but they are producing only smoke. They use passionate words but have no inner warmth. They speak of connection while their own energy is closed off and defensive. Their words are like cold ashes. They have the form and memory of fire, but the essence is gone. This is the result of speaking from a place of absence. The communication is all smoke, irritating to the eyes and obscuring the truth, with no life-giving heat behind it. To be the fire, you must tend to it, and you cannot tend to a fire that you are not present with. The cultivation of presence is the act of gathering your scattered awareness, your dissipated energy, and bringing it home. Home to the body, home to this moment. You can begin right now. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the points of contact between you and the surface you are on. Feel the subtle tingle of life in your hands, your feet. This is your anchor to the now. Your mind can travel to a million places in the past and future, but your body is always, unfailingly, here. Inhabit your body. Be the silent, conscious space in which the sensations of your body are happening. Your breath is your most loyal and constant anchor to presence. It is the rhythm of the present moment. I invite you to follow one breath, just one. Follow it as it enters your body, a cool stream of life. Follow it as it fills your lungs. Notice the brief, still pause at the peak of the inhale. Then follow it as it leaves your body, a warm, surrendering release. In the space of that one conscious breath, you were fully present. You were home. You were not lost in thought. You were the fire, quietly burning. The more you can return to this simple awareness, the more you will inhabit your being. Your presence will deepen. The warmth of your fire will grow stronger, steadier. When you bring this presence into a conversation, everything changes. Your listening transforms. You are no longer just waiting for your turn to speak. You are offering a vast, open space for the other person. Your silence becomes a powerful, active, foreseer, silent embrace that says, "I am with you." And when you do speak, your words arise from the reality of the present moment. They are not canned responses or pre-planned speeches. They are alive, relevant, and attuned to the person in front of you because you are finally there with them. This presence is the foundation upon which memorable communication is built. Without it, your words are ghosts. With it, your words become flesh and blood. They have a heartbeat. They carry the living, breathing energy of who you are in this moment. People may not remember the exact contours of the flame, but they will never forget its warmth. They will never forget how it felt to stand in the light of your presence. So before you consider what to say, consider where you are. Bring yourself home. Gather your awareness. Inhabit your body. Be the fire. Your warmth will speak for itself. It will radiate outward and call others to you, not through force, but through the simple, undeniable, and profoundly influential power of your own steady flame. And from this place, you will discover that you are already communicating long before you ever open your mouth. You have cultivated silence, learning to still the great bell of your mind. From that stillness, you have discovered the fire of your own presence, the steady warmth that communicates without words. But now we arrive at a critical juncture, a place of profound and often painful dissonance. What happens when this silent, present, authentic fire attempts to speak through a voice that is not its own? What happens when the pure note tries to emerge from an instrument that is being forced to play a foreign song? The result is a crushing, unbearable weight. The weight of an inauthentic voice. Authenticity is not a moral high ground. It is a principle of energetic physics. It is alignment. It is when the inner reality and the outer expression are one. Inauthenticity is misalignment. It is a fracture between who you are and who you are pretending to be. This fracture is not a small thing. It is a deep, seismic fault line running through your being, and its tremors are felt by everyone you encounter. The human soul has an incorruptible lie detector. It may not operate on a conscious level, but it is always on, always sensing, always feeling for the truth. When you speak from a place of inauthenticity, the listener's soul detects the fracture. They may not have the words for it. They may tell themselves they just got a weird vibe, or that something felt off. What they are feeling is the dissonant hum of your inner conflict. We learn to be inauthentic as a survival strategy. As children, we quickly learn which parts of us are celebrated and which are punished or ignored. So we begin to craft masks. We build a personality, a character that is designed for maximum safety and approval. There is the mask of the people pleaser, the one who smooths every edge, who agrees with everything, whose words are a sweet, sticky candy designed to placate and appease. This voice is born of a deep fear of rejection. It says, "I love that idea," when it feels deep resistance. It says, "I'm fine," when it is crumbling inside. The energetic cost is immense. To constantly suppress your own truth requires a vigilant, exhausting inner censor. The listener, in turn, feels the underlying anxiety. The sweetness tastes of desperation. There is nothing to trust, nothing solid to hold on to, because the words have no root in the soil of a real self. There is the mask of the intellectual, who hides behind complex words and abstract theories. This voice uses knowledge as a fortress to keep the messy, unpredictable world of emotion at bay. It lectures, it analyzes, it condescends, all to avoid the terrifyingly simple statement, "I don't know," or "I feel scared." The communication is cold, sterile, and distant. It is a conversation between two disembodied heads, with no heart, no soul, no real connection. The listener feels pushed away, patronized, or simply bored, because there is no life force, no shared humanity in the exchange. Then there is the mask of strength, the stoic or the cynic, who uses a hard shell of indifference or aggression to protect a soft, vulnerable core. This voice says, "I don't care," when it cares so deeply it hurts. It uses sarcasm as a weapon to keep others at a distance. But this armor is brittle. It radiates a defensive, prickly energy that silently screams of old wounds. The listener feels this defensiveness. They sense they must tread carefully, that there are hidden landmines everywhere. Intimacy becomes impossible. The very shield meant to protect you becomes your prison. The central metaphor here is one of music. Your being is a unique instrument, crafted by the universe. It has its own timbre, its own range, its own sacred, resonant note. This is your keynote of truth. When you are aligned with yourself, you play this note, and it is beautiful, whether it is a deep, resonant cello tone or a light, clear flute melody. Authenticity is simply playing your own note, without apology. Inauthenticity is forcing your instrument to play a song it was not designed for. It is a cello trying to sound like a trumpet. It is pressing the strings in the wrong place. And what does this create? Dissonance, a jarring, unpleasant vibration that grates on the soul. Imagine a beautiful symphony. The orchestra is playing a moving piece. The melody is soaring, and then one violinist plays a single, screeching, off-key note. What happens? The entire spell is broken. The beauty evaporates. Your body tenses up. You cringe. That one false note contaminates the entire experience. Your inauthentic words are that false note. Even if the rest of your message is well-intentioned, intelligent, or kind, the dissonant vibration of your inauthenticity will be the only thing the listener's soul truly hears. It creates a subtle, internal cringe. It breaks the harmony of connection. It makes your entire communication feel like a lie, even if the facts you are stating are true. This is the unbearable weight. It is the psychic noise of your own inner misalignment broadcast into the world, creating discomfort in you and distrust in others. The path back is not one of building a more authentic personality. That is just creating a better, more convincing mask. The path is one of surrender, It is the courageous act of dropping the masks, one by one. It begins with a gentle, non-judgmental inner inquiry. In this moment, as you are about to speak, ask yourself, what am I truly feeling beneath the story I'm about to tell? What is the simplest, most honest truth in me right now? What would I say if I were not afraid of the outcome? To drop the mask is to risk being seen, to risk being disapproved of, to risk being vulnerable. And that is terrifying. But the perceived safety of the mask is an illusion. The exhaustion of maintaining it, the loneliness of being perpetually misunderstood, the quiet agony of feeling like an imposter in your own life. This is a far greater pain than the momentary discomfort of revealing your true self. The weight of the mask is the weight of a slow death. The vulnerability of authenticity is the feeling of coming alive. So when you speak, let the words come from the fire of your presence, not from the script of your mask. If you are sad, let your voice carry the truth of that sadness. If you are joyful, let it ring with the purity of that joy. If you are uncertain, let your words be humble and questioning. This is not weakness. This is integrity. It is the ultimate strength. An authentic voice, even when it trembles, has more power and influence than the most confident-sounding lie. Because truth has a resonance that the soul recognizes. It is the sound of a note played perfectly in tune. It is the sound of coming home. Do not burden yourself and others with the unbearable weight of a false note. Have the courage to find your own and play it. The world is starved for that kind of music. You have made the courageous choice to lower the mask. You have stood in the vulnerability of your authentic self, ready to let the fire of your presence shine and the true note of your being sound forth. But as you stand in this newfound openness, you may notice something else. You may feel the old habits, the old fears, the old patterns pulling at you. You may find that even with the mask off, your voice still feels tight, your words still feel hesitant, your message still feels clouded. This is because dropping the mask is only the first step. Now, we must tend to the environment that made the mask necessary. We must clear the channel. Imagine that your truest self, that silent, knowing presence within you, is a pristine, inexhaustible spring at the top of a mountain. The water that emerges from this spring is perfectly clear, pure, and life-giving. This is your essence. Your communication is the stream that flows from this spring down the mountain to the world below. The stream bed itself, the channel through which this water must pass, is your mind, your conditioning, your history. For most of us, this channel has become cluttered over a lifetime. It is filled with the mud of old fears, the dead leaves of past hurts, the discarded refuse of manipulative habits, and the thick sludge of a needy ego. No matter how pure the water is at its source, if it flows through a polluted channel, the water that reaches the world will be murky. It will be tainted. It will not be refreshing. This is why your well-intentioned words can still feel heavy, why your attempts at connection can still fall flat. You are offering water from a muddied stream. The work, then, is not to try and change the water. The water is already perfect. The work is to gently, patiently, and lovingly clear the channel. This is the sacred task of dissolving the ego's static. This static comes in several distinct forms. The first, and most pervasive, is fear. Fear is the thick, heavy mud at the bottom of the stream that slows the current and clouds the water. It is the fear of being judged, the fear that your truth is not good enough, the fear of being rejected if you are truly seen. It is the fear of being wrong, of looking foolish, of losing control. When you speak from a place of fear, that fear constricts you. It tightens your throat, shallows your breath, and puts a tremor in your voice. Your words become hesitant, apologetic, and weak. You are essentially asking for permission to speak, for permission to exist. The listener feels this constriction. They sense your lack of conviction in yourself, and so they cannot place their conviction in your words. The second form of debris is the incessant need for validation. This is the hungry, restless part of the ego that is constantly scanning for approval. It is a bottomless pit of neediness. When this is active, your communication ceases to be a gift and becomes a transaction. You are not sharing your truth freely. You are bartering it for a nod, a smile, a compliment. You say things you think will make you sound smart or funny or spiritual. You are performing for an audience, constantly checking their reactions to see if your performance is a success. This is like throwing handfuls of gravel and shiny, worthless trinkets into the stream. It disturbs the flow and offers nothing of real substance. The listener feels this neediness as a subtle pressure, a psychic pull. It is tiresome to be around because they are being used as a mirror to reflect the ego's desired image back at itself. They feel drained, not nourished by the exchange. The third, and perhaps most toxic pollutant, is the desire to manipulate. This is the ego's agenda. It is the desire to control the outcome, to win the argument, to make the other person see things your way, to get them to do something. This is not communication. It is a covert act of will. Your words may be cloaked in reason and light, but they carry a hidden hook. This is the industrial sludge, the chemical waste dumped into the pure water. The listener's intuition picks up on this agenda immediately. Their subconscious recognizes the attempt to violate their sovereignty, their freedom to have their own experience, and their defenses will go up instantly. They may not even know why they are resisting you, but their entire being will brace against the subtle force you are trying to exert. You cannot control and connect at the same time. You must choose. So, how do we clear this channel? It is not a violent act. You do not go to war with your ego. That is just the ego fighting itself, creating more chaos and churning up more mud. The clearing is a gentle, conscious process. It begins with awareness. You simply start to notice. You become a curious, compassionate observer of your own inner world. Before you speak, or even in the middle of a sentence, you can ask yourself, from where is this word coming? What is my motivation right now? Shine the light of your awareness into the stream. Ah, I see fear. I am afraid they will think I am foolish. Do not judge this fear. Do not try to push it away. Simply see it. The moment you see the mud for what it is, just mud, not ute, begins to lose its power. You have separated yourself from it. When you notice the pull of neediness, you can observe there is a desire to be liked. A part of me is seeking approval. You see the shiny trinkets in the water. You acknowledge them, and then you let them be. When you sense the urge to convince, to control, you can gently note, there is an agenda here. I am trying to force an outcome. This act of non-judgmental seeing is the most powerful solvent in the universe. It is the sunlight that allows the muddy water to clear. The second step is to consciously reconnect with the source. Having seen the debris, you do not have to engage with it. You can choose to let your attention drop out of the noisy, cluttered thoughts and back into your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Take one conscious breath. Reconnect with the inner fire of your presence, the quiet field of stillness within. You return to the mountaintop, to the pristine spring. From this place, you can then choose to speak. You are now allowing the water to flow from its pure source, bypassing the debris you have just witnessed. The words that emerge now will have a different quality. They will be clearer, cleaner, free from the constrictive energy of fear, the cloying energy of neediness, and the aggressive energy of control. You are offering a drink of clean water. The listener will feel this. They will feel the absence of an agenda. They will feel the lack of neediness. They will sense the quiet courage behind your words. They will feel safe, and in that safety, they will truly open, and they will truly hear. This is a practice for a lifetime. The stream will get muddied again and again, That is the nature of living in this world. But you will now have the tools, the light of awareness, the grace of acceptance, the anchor of presence. You are no longer a victim of your own inner pollution. You are the conscious, loving caretaker of your own sacred channel. And a clear channel does not just allow for influential communication, it allows for healing, for true connection, for love. It allows your very essence to flow out into the world, pure and unhindered, as the gift it was always meant to be. With the channel cleared, the pure water of your essence can now flow without obstruction. But as it emerges into the world, it takes form, it crystallizes into sound, into speech. We must now turn our attention to the nature of these crystals, to the very substance of your words themselves. For words are not merely inert labels we use to describe a pre-existing reality. Words are alive. They are vessels, containers, boats that carry a specific charge, a particular energy. Every word you speak is a package of vibration, broadcast from your being into the fabric of the universe. The question we must now ask is, what frequency are you sending? Science tells us that everything at its most fundamental level is vibration. The chair you are sitting on, the light filling the room, the body you inhabit all, are patterns of energy vibrating at different frequencies. Sound is the most obvious and immediate experience of this. You can feel the physical vibration of a deep bass note in your chest. You can sense the piercing frequency of a high-pitched alarm. They are not just concepts. They are tangible, physical forces. Words are no different. They are sound, and they are vibration, but their vibrational quality goes far deeper than the mere physics of acoustics. The intention and emotion with which a word is spoken imbues it with a powerful, non-physical, yet palpable energy. Consider the word love. Say it to yourself now, softly. Feel the shape of it. Now, think of a time you felt pure, unconditional love, and let that feeling fill you as you think the word again. Love. Feel the expansion, the warmth, the lightness. Now, think of the word fear. Feel the contraction it creates in your body, the coldness, the density. The dictionary gives them simple definitions, but your soul knows their profound difference. They are not just words. They are entire universes of experience, entire realms of vibration that you can choose to inhabit with your speech. Your daily language is a constant broadcast of your vibrational state. Are you broadcasting a frequency of lack, or a frequency of abundance, a frequency of resentment, or a frequency of gratitude? Listen to the casual words people use, the words you use. I'm sick and tired. This is killing me. I can't stand it. What a disaster. Each of these phrases is a small, dense, heavy stone of low vibration energy. When you speak them, you are not just describing a situation. You are reinforcing that low vibration state within yourself and radiating it outwards. You are adding to the weight of the world. Gossip, criticism, complaint, judgment, these are the languages of a low frequency. They drain your life force. They create a heavy, toxic, energetic atmosphere around you that repels opportunity, joy, and connection. Conversely, consider the language of a high frequency. I am so grateful for. What a beautiful thing to see. Thank you for your help. I believe in the possibility of. I appreciate you. These are words that feel light, expansive, and energizing. They are born from the clear channel, from the pure source. When you speak them, you lift your own energy. You become a source of light for others. You create an atmosphere of warmth, openness, and possibility. You are literally tuning your being to the frequency of joy, of abundance, of love. And by the universal law of resonance, that which is like unto itself is drawn. By speaking the language of beauty, you will begin to notice more beauty. By speaking the language of gratitude, you will find more to be grateful for. Your words are a self-fulfilling prophecy, not by magic, but by the physics of vibration. Here we arrive at our next metaphor. You are a musician, a composer. Your life is your symphony. Your words are the individual notes you play, day in and day out. The entire keyboard, the full range of notes from the lowest to the highest, is available to you at all times. The ego is an amateur musician. It only knows a few chords, and they are mostly minor key dirges of complaint and fear. It bangs on the piano, creating a chaotic, dissonant noise, and calls this reality. But your true self, the conscious, present you, is a master composer. It understands harmony. It understands that even a difficult passage can be part of a beautiful, uplifting symphony. It knows how to choose notes that create feelings of hope, of peace, of inspiration. The master composer knows that every single note matters. Every casual word, every comment, every conversation is another note in the grand composition of your life. What kind of music are you making? Is your life a mournful dirge, a frantic, anxious cacophony, or is it a soaring, beautiful symphony that elevates your own soul and brings harmony to those who hear it? The choice of which note to play, which word to speak, is always yours in every moment. This is the practice of conscious language. It is the decision to become the master composer of your own energetic signature. It begins with noticing. Simply listen to the words you use for one day. Listen without judgment. Just observe. What is the recurring melody? Is it one of lack or one of appreciation? Is it one of criticism or one of encouragement? Then, begin to make conscious substitutions. This is not about being inauthentic or engaging in toxic positivity. It is not about pretending you don't feel sad when you do. It is about choosing not to set up camp and build a permanent home in the land of sadness. It is about honoring the feeling without solidifying it into a low vibrational identity. When you feel tired, instead of declaring, "I am exhausted," which is a heavy, definitive statement, you can try, "My body is asking for rest, and I will listen." The first is a declaration of a state of being. The second is a statement of compassionate, present-moment action. The vibration is entirely different. The two most powerful words in your vocabulary are "I am." Whatever you place after them is a direct command to your subconscious mind and a broadcast to the universe about who you have decided to be. Be vigilant with these words. They are the keynote of your symphony. Are you saying, "I am broke, I am unlucky, I am stuck"? Or can you, from a place of truth, begin to play a new note? "I am resourceful. I am open to new opportunities. I am in a process of transformation." Your words are not just vibrations. They are instructions. They are the brushstrokes with which you are painting the masterpiece of your life, moment by moment. They ripple outwards from you, affecting not just your own state and the person you are speaking to, but the collective field of consciousness. Every word of encouragement you speak adds to the total encouragement in the world. Every word of gratitude adds to the light. You are not an insignificant player. You are a co-creator of the world's energetic weather. Choose to be the one who brings the sun. Choose the words that feel like light. Choose the notes that make your own soul want to sing. For your words are not just describing your world, they are creating it. You stand now at a profound threshold. You have journeyed inward from the noisy chaos of the world to the deep, resonant silence of your own being. You have learned to tend to the fire of your presence, to clear the channel of your expression, and to understand your words as vessels of living vibration. Now, we must take the final, most transformative step. We must move from describing the world with our words to creating the world with them. This is the great secret, hidden in plain sight in the scriptures and mystical texts of every age. This is the art of speaking things into being. The reality you experience is not a fixed, objective state of affairs to which you must react. It is a mirror, a flawless and unforgiving reflection of the activity taking place within your own consciousness. You have been taught to live as a reporter, standing on the sidelines of your own life, dutifully documenting the events that unfold. You report on the weather of your moods, the traffic of your circumstances, the victories and defeats of your day. The reporter's language is always reactive. This happened to me. I feel this way because of that. I wish things were different. It is the voice of the victim, the spectator, the one to whom life happens. I am here to tell you that you are not the reporter. Your true nature is that of the author, the scriptwriter, the director. Your inner world, the combination of your imagination, your feeling, and your inner speech, is the writer's room. The outer world, the screen of space, is where the script is played out for you to experience. The shift from reporter to author is the most powerful you will ever make. It is the shift from reacting to life to creating it. It is the understanding that your words, when fused with feeling and belief, are not descriptive. They are creative. They are directorial commands. The universe does not hear the words you speak with your lips so much as it feels the reality you have accepted in your heart. Creation is finished. Every potential state, every possible reality, the reality where you are healthy, the one where you are wealthy, the one where you are at peace, and the ones where you are not already exists as a potential within the infinite field of consciousness. Your job is not to struggle and strive to build a new reality from scratch. Your job is to select the reality you desire to experience and to occupy it with your consciousness so fully that it has no choice but to objectify itself in your world. How is this done? It is done through the marriage of words and feeling. The word, the thought, the idea of what you desire is the blueprint, but the feeling, the emotion, is the power that builds the house. Feeling is the fuel. Your subconscious mind, the great impersonal servant that directs the energy of creation, does not understand logical, pleading words. It understands the language of feeling. To simply repeat the words, "I am wealthy," while feeling the anxiety of lack, is to send the universe two contradictory instructions. The universe will always, without fail, obey the dominant instruction, the one conveyed by your deepest feeling. This is why mere positive affirmations so often fail. They are a coat of paint on a house that is structurally unsound. You must rebuild the house from the foundation up, and that foundation is feeling. This is the art. You must dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is not wishful thinking. It is the conscious act of inhabiting a future reality in the present moment. I invite you to try this now. Think of something you desire, not a vague wish, but a specific, clear outcome. Now, do not think of it as something distant. I want you to step into it. Close your eyes if you must. What would it actually feel like if it were true, right now? Let go of the how it would happen. That is not your concern. Your concern is only with the state of the wish fulfilled. Engage your inner senses. If your wish were true, what would you see? Perhaps you see a specific number in your bank account, a clean bill of health from a doctor, or the face of a loved one smiling at you. Make it vivid. What would you hear? The sounds of laughter in a home you now own, a specific phrase of congratulations, the sound of your own calm, steady breathing free from anxiety. And most importantly, what would you feel? Dig beneath the surface level excitement. What is the deep, abiding mood of this new reality? Is it relief? Is it freedom? Is it a profound sense of peace? Is it security? Is it overwhelming gratitude? Find that central feeling. That is the gold. That is the creative power. Now, hold that feeling. Bathe in it. Let it saturate every cell of your being. Feel it as a real, present tense fact. This is not make-believe. This is the act of selecting your reality. And now, from within this state of feeling, you will use words. Not to ask, not to hope, but to declare. to give form to the feeling you now embody. You speak the words aloud, not to convince God or the universe, but to convince yourself at the deepest level of your being. The words become the anchor for the feeling. They are the pronouncement of the reality you have just occupied. From the feeling of profound peace, you declare, "I am peace." From the feeling of robust health, you declare, "I am healed and whole." From the feeling of absolute security, you declare, "I am safe and secure." These are not affirmations of what you want to be, they are declarations of what you now are in consciousness. The I am is the name of God, the creative power within you. Whatever you attach to it, you become. Speak your declaration with the quiet, calm conviction of a writer finishing a script, knowing that the actors now have their lines and the scene is set. Once this creative act is complete, your work is done. And here we enter the most subtle and often most difficult part of the art, living in the end. After your imaginal act, you must sustain the mood of the wish fulfilled as you go about your day. You must learn to think from your new state, not of it. Thinking of your desire implies separation. It means you are here and your desire is over there. This maintains the state of lack. Thinking from your desire means you are already there. You have moved into the new house. You view the world through the windows of that new reality. When a worry arises, you do not meet it from your old state of anxiety. You meet it from your new state of peace. From my position of peace, how does this problem look? You will find it looks much smaller, much more manageable. You have to be loyal to a reality that is not yet visible to your five senses. This is faith. The outer world is the past. It is a shadow. It is the physical manifestation of your former state of consciousness. It has a time lag. You must not be swayed by it. Do not look for signs. Do not anxiously check to see if it's working. To do so is to admit you do not believe it is done. It is to plant a seed and then keep digging it up to see if it has sprouted, killing it in the process. After the creative act, you enter what the mystics call the Sabbath, a state of rest, a quiet, confident knowing. You have done the work in the only place where work can be done in consciousness, and you now allow the outer world to catch up. You trust the process. This state of rest is not passive. It is an active state of faith, a refusal to be moved by contrary evidence. This is the art of speaking into being. It is the discipline of governing your own mind. It is the freedom of realizing that you are not a puppet of circumstance, but the operant power in your own life. Your imagination is the creative studio. Your feeling is the power. And your inner and outer words are the directorial commands that give your chosen reality form. Every moment of your life, you are using this power, whether you are aware of it or not. You are constantly assuming feelings and speaking from them, and your world is constantly conforming to those assumptions. The only question is whether you will do it consciously and deliberately, or unconsciously and by default. Take up your power. You are not a reporter condemned to describe a world you dislike. You are the author with the pen in your hand. The entire library of potential realities is waiting for you. Choose the story you wish to live. Enter the feeling of that story as if it were true now. And from that feeling, speak. Speak your new reality into being. Not with a shout, but with the deep, silent, unshakable knowing that it is already so. You have now stood in the heart of your own creative power. You have felt the awesome potential that lies in speaking your reality into being, in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and allowing the world to conform to your inner declaration. With this profound power comes an equally profound responsibility, for you are not creating in a vacuum. Every word you speak, every feeling you project, is a force sent out into the universe. And the universe, in its perfect and impersonal wisdom, operates under an immutable law, a law of return, a law of consequence. Some call this law karma. Let us first strip this word of its heavy, distorted meanings. Karma is not a cosmic accountant in the sky, meticulously tallying your good and bad deeds to dispense rewards and punishments. It is not a system of divine retribution. To see it that way is to remain in the consciousness of a child, fearing an external authority. Karma is a law of physics as neutral, as impersonal, and as reliable as the law of gravity. It is the law of the mirror. It is the principle that the energy you emit is the energy you will experience. The universe does not judge your output as good or bad. It simply returns it to you, perfectly reflected, so that you may know the nature of what you have created. The world you experience is not your punishment or your reward. It is your reflection. The most immediate and constant way we experience this law is in our conversations. Every interaction, every exchange of words is a complete energetic circuit. It is a loop you create and then inhabit. To understand this, let us use our next metaphor. Imagine your consciousness is standing in a vast, silent valley, surrounded by mountains. Your words are the sounds you choose to send into this valley. The world, the universe, the people around you are the mountainsides. They do not invent the sound. They do not judge the sound. They simply, flawlessly, echo back to you the exact nature of the sound you produced. This is the karma of conversation. If you stand in your valley and shout words of anger, of accusation, of rage, what do the mountains echo back? They do not return whispers of peace. They return the sound of anger, of accusation, of rage, from every direction. You find yourself surrounded by the very energy you initiated. If you then get angry at the echo, you only create a louder, more chaotic shout of anger, which is then returned with even greater intensity. You become a prisoner in a valley of your own angry echoes, believing the valley itself is hostile, never realizing you are the source of the noise. Now, consider the subtle, pervasive act of judgment and gossip. When you speak to another about a third person, casting them in a negative light, criticizing their choices, or dissecting their flaws, what are you shouting into your valley? You are shouting imperfection. You are shouting fault. You are shouting not good enough. You are vibrating at the frequency of criticism. The law of the echo must return this to you. And so, you will begin to find criticism and judgment everywhere. You will attract people who are critical of you. You will become hypersensitive to perceived slights. Most painfully, your own inner critic will become a roaring monster, as you have given it so much energy. The judgment you send out as a casual spoken word becomes the very fabric of the world you experience. You have created a feedback loop where you are constantly surrounded by the energy of judgment, because that is the signal you are constantly broadcasting. Let us stand in the valley and try something different. Let us look upon another and find something to genuinely appreciate. Let us speak words of encouragement. Let us praise a quality we admire in someone, not with the intention of flattery, but as a sincere recognition of the light we see in them. What are we shouting into the valley now? We are shouting worth. We are shouting light. We are shouting beauty and strength. And the mountains, in their perfect fidelity, must echo this back. You will begin to find yourself surrounded by supportive, encouraging people. You will find that your own strengths and good qualities are being recognized by others. You will start to see your own worth more clearly, because you have tuned your being to the frequency of seeing worth in the world. The echo of your praise for another becomes the nourishment for your own soul. You receive what you give, not as a future reward, but in the very act of giving. This law applies to every word. Words of complaint create a world filled with things to complain about. Words of gratitude create a world filled with blessings. Words of fear create a world that seems dangerous and threatening. Words of trust create a world that feels safe and supportive. Your conversations are the loom upon which you are weaving the tapestry of your life. Every word is a thread. Is the thread coarse and dark with resentment, or is it fine and bright with love? The practice deepens when we realize that the conversation is not just what we speak aloud. The loudest shouts into the valley are often the ones we make in the silence of our own minds. Your inner talk, your silent judgment of the person in line in front of you, your mental rehearsal of an argument, these are powerful broadcasts. They are the true source of the echo. The spoken word is often just the final confirmation of the silent conversation that has already taken place. Therefore, the karma of conversation is truly the karma of consciousness. To change the echo, you must change the original thought. You must become the guardian of your own mind. When you find yourself in the path of a negative echoing, someone speaks to you with anger or judgment. What is the empowered response? The reactive response is to shout back, to defend, to attack, thus perpetuating the cycle. The conscious response is to realize that you are simply standing on a mountainside as someone else's echo returns to them. You do not have to receive it. You do not have to become the next echo. You can, through your own presence and silence, absorb the sound without reflecting it. You can choose to send out a new, different sound of compassion, of understanding, of peace. You can break the karmic loop for yourself and for them. Every conversation is a sacred opportunity. It is a moment-to-moment choice. What echo do you want to live in? What world do you want to see reflected back at you? The power is not in the world. The power is in your voice, in your thought, in your intention. Take responsibility for every word you utter, for it is a seed you are planting in the garden of your own experience. Choose the seeds of love, of kindness, of encouragement. Tend to them, and you will find yourself living in a world that is a beautiful, thriving garden, a valley filled with the harmonious echoes of your own beautiful song. You have learned the weight of your own words, the creative power they hold, and the karmic echo they produce in your life. You have taken responsibility for what you send out. Now, we must turn to the other half of this sacred loop, the part that has been tragically neglected in our noisy world. We must learn to listen. And I do not mean the common act of waiting for your turn to speak. I mean the profound spiritual art of listening, not to respond, but to receive. For most of us, listening is not a state of receptivity. It is an act of aggression in disguise. It is a strategic pause while we reload. We engage in conversation with our minds already full, our agendas already set, our responses already rehearsed. We are not listening, we are preparing. We listen as the debater, sifting through the other person's words only to find a flaw, a weak point, a crack in their logic where we can insert our own superior argument. We listen as the fixer, impatiently enduring their story of pain or confusion, not to understand their feeling, but to diagnose their problem and prescribe our brilliant solution. We listen as the storyteller, waiting for a single keyword that will give us the opening to launch into our own, more interesting, more dramatic, more relevant tale. In all these modes, we are utterly absent. We are a full bowl, clattering with the noise of our own ego, our own opinions, our own needs. And when another person tries to pour their truth, their vulnerability, their very self into our presence, what happens? It spills over the sides. It is not received. It is rejected. They feel, on a level deeper than thought, that they are not being heard. They feel invalidated, unseen, and unimportant. They feel the conversation is not a connection, but a competition, and so they shut down. The walls go up. The sacred possibility of communion dies, and what is left are two egos standing in a room, lobbing hollow words at each other. This is the tragedy of most human communication. True listening, the kind of listening that can heal a soul and change a life, requires a radical and courageous act. It requires you to become empty. Imagine your consciousness, your mind, as a beautiful handcrafted bowl. To be of service, to fulfill its purpose, a bowl must be empty. Its value is defined by its emptiness, by its capacity to receive. A bowl that is already filled to the brim with its own contents is useless. To truly listen, you must consciously and deliberately set aside the contents of your own mind. You must set aside your desire to be right, your clever comebacks, your brilliant advice, your own fascinating stories. You must be willing to become, for a few sacred moments, a nobody. You must offer the other person the pristine, silent, spacious emptiness of your full attention. This is the metaphor of the empty bowl. To listen in this way is to offer the other person the rarest and most precious gift in the modern world, a safe space to exist without judgment. When you become the empty bowl, you are not passive. This is not a vacant, checked-out state. It is the most active and intense form of presence. You are bringing the full, undivided fire of your being and focusing it on another. You are listening with your ears, but also with your eyes, with your body, with your heart. You are listening to the words they speak, but you are also listening to the spaces between the words. You are listening to the melody of their voice, the rhythm of their breath, the story told by their posture. You are listening for the feeling that lives behind the words. When you offer this quality of listening, you are silently communicating something incredibly powerful. You are saying, "I see you, I hear you. What you are feeling is valid. You are not alone." In this moment, your reality is the only thing that matters. To grant someone this experience is a profound act of love. It can dissolve years of loneliness in a matter of minutes. Often, people do not need your advice. They do not need your solutions. They already have the answers within themselves. What they need is a safe, loving, resonant space in which to hear themselves think, to feel their own feelings, and to let their own truth surface. Your empty, receptive presence is that sacred space. You become a midwife to their soul. How then do we practice this? How do we become the empty bowl when our minds are so conditioned to be full? It begins with intention. Before a conversation, you can set a silent intention. In this interaction, my goal is not to be heard, but to hear. My purpose is not to advise, but to understand. I will be an empty bowl. Then, you must learn to have the courage to sit with another's pain. Our desperate urge to fix people's problems is often a reflection of our own discomfort. Their sadness, their anger, their confusion makes us feel uncomfortable, so we rush to offer a solution that will make us feel better. Receptive listening requires the strength to simply be with them in their darkness, without needing to immediately turn on a light. It is to trust that they have their own light, and your presence is what will give them the safety to find it. You must let go of the ego's need to be the hero who saves the day. The true heroism is in the quiet strength of simply staying present. You must also befriend silence. When the other person pauses, resist the frantic urge to fill the space. That pause is not a void, it is a fertile ground. It is the moment where they might be accessing a deeper feeling or a more vulnerable truth. If you rush in with your own words, you trample that emerging seedling. Hold the space. Let the silence breathe. Your comfortable presence with the silence gives them permission to take their time, to go deeper. The silence in a conversation held by an empty bowl is not awkward. It is profound. It is generative. Your breath is your constant anchor. As you listen, you will feel the familiar urges arise, the urge to interrupt, to judge, to tell your story. When you feel it, do not condemn yourself. Simply notice it, and then return your awareness to your own breath. Let the breath anchor you in the present moment, in the state of receptive emptiness. Let the urge to speak be a cloud that floats by in the vast sky of your silent awareness. You do not have to get on board that cloud. You can remain as the sky. This practice will transform your relationships. It will dissolve conflict. It will build bridges of intimacy you never thought possible. It is a spiritual practice of the highest order, for it is the practice of dissolving the ego for the sake of another. And here is the final, beautiful paradox. In the act of becoming empty for another, you will find yourself mysteriously filled with a deeper understanding, a greater compassion, a more profound sense of connection to the human family. You will have stepped out of the lonely prison of your own mind and entered into the shared heart of true communion. Do not just wait for your turn to speak. Offer the world the gift of your emptiness and watch as it fills with a richness you could never have created on your own. You have become the empty bowl, a silent, receptive space for another. You have set aside your own inner chatter to create a sanctuary of presence. And in this sacred quiet, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to hear what is truly being said. And very often, the most important communication is not happening in the words, but in the spaces between them. You begin to hear the silence. Words are clumsy tools. They are approximations, flawed containers for the vast, formless world of human experience. We try to pack our immense joy, our bottomless grief, our complex and contradictory feelings into these small, rigid boxes, but they never quite fit. The most precious cargo inevitably spills out into the pauses, the hesitations, the moments of searching for a word that does not exist. To listen only to the words is to be content with the empty boxes while ignoring the treasure that lies scattered all around them. The art of deep listening, the art of true connection, is the art of hearing the silence. This silence is not a void. It is not an error in transmission or a sign of emptiness. It is a language in itself. It is a parallel stream of communication, one that is purely emotional, energetic, and breathtakingly honest. To learn this language is to move from hearing with your ears to perceiving with your soul. Let us turn to our metaphor. A master composer understands a truth that the amateur does not. The rests, the moments of silence, are as important as the notes themselves. A piece of music that is an unrelenting barrage of notes is not music, it is an assault. It is meaningless noise. The silence is what gives the music its rhythm, its feeling, its power. A pause can create heart-stopping tension. It can provide a moment for a beautiful chord to hang in the air and resonate. It can be a gentle breath that allows the listener to absorb the emotion of a passage. The rests are what allow the music to breathe, to have a soul. So it is with conversation. The silences are the rests in the music of human connection. They are not empty. They are pregnant with meaning. Your task as a listener is not to rush to fill them, but to learn to appreciate their unique melody. There is the silence of hesitation. It is the pause before a difficult truth is spoken, before a vulnerable confession is made. It is a space filled with a wrestling match between fear and courage. To hear this silence is to witness the speaker's bravery. When you hear it, your role is not to prod them or say, "It's okay, you can tell me." That is your own anxiety speaking. Your role is to simply hold that space with them, to let your own calm presence be a silent testament that says, "I am here. There is no rush. This space is safe." There is the silence of contemplation. It is the pause that follows a deep question or a new idea. The speaker's gaze may drift away as they journey inward to find an honest response, not a pre-packaged one. This is a sacred moment. They are trusting you enough to think in your presence. To interrupt this silence with your own thoughts is a violation. It is like barging into a room where someone is in deep prayer. To hear this silence is to respect the inner workings of another's mind. You honor it by waiting patiently, by showing that you value their process more than a quick answer. There is the silence of overwhelm. It is the pause where words evaporate in the face of a powerful emotion. It can be a sudden shock, a wave of grief, or a surge of joy so intense that it is beyond language. In this silence, the person is not withholding information, they are saturated with pure feeling. Their whole being is communicating directly, without the filter of words. To hear this silence is to move beyond thought and simply feel with them. Your presence becomes a silent container for their emotion. No words are necessary. In fact, words would only cheapen the experience. You simply sit with them in the heart of the feeling. That is the deepest form of communion. And there is the silence of resistance. The stubborn, tight silence of someone who feels defensive, misunderstood, or unwilling to connect. It is a wall. The amateur listener will try to break down this wall with more words, with questions, with pressure. But this only makes the wall thicker. The conscious listener hears this silence not as an attack, but as a message of pain. This wall was built to protect something soft and wounded. To hear this silence is to ask, not with your words, but with your energy, what is this wall protecting? It is to soften your own energy, to lay down your own weapons, and to create a feeling of such safety that the wall is no longer perceived as necessary. How do you learn to hear these intricate and subtle melodies of silence? You must expand your listening beyond your ears. You must become a full-body receiver. When a pause happens, bring your awareness to the other person's non-verbal language. Watch their eyes. The eyes never lie. Are they looking down in shame, upward in thought? Are they gazing into the distance, lost in a memory? Is there a shimmer of unshed tears? The eyes are the windows to the soul, and in moments of silence, the curtains are often drawn back. Listen to their breath. The breath is the rhythm section of the emotional orchestra. Did the silence begin with a sharp, sudden intake of breath, a gasp of surprise or fear? Are they holding their breath, a sign of tension and anxiety? Or did they just release a long, slow sigh of relief or resignation? The story of the breath will tell you everything about the emotional quality of the silence. Observe their body. The body is a living sculpture of their inner state. Are their arms crossed in a defensive posture? Are their hands clenched in anger or twisting in nervousness? Are their shoulders slumped in defeat or held high with tension? The unspoken truth is written in the hieroglyphs of their physical form. By paying attention to these channels, you are no longer just listening to a person, you are experiencing them. You are reading the music, not just hearing the notes. And your response, then, will be far more attuned and compassionate. Often, the most powerful response to silence is more silence. A gentle nod, a soft gaze of acceptance, a stillness in your own body that mirrors their need for space. You are letting them know, without words, that you are fluent in the language of the soul. Ultimately, the practice of hearing the silence leads to the most sublime form of communication, the shared quiet of complete understanding. It is the comfortable, peaceful silence between two people who have connected so deeply that words become redundant. It is a state of pure communion, of two presences coexisting in a field of mutual acceptance and love. This is the goal, not to talk more, but to understand more, so that fewer and fewer words are needed. By learning to hear the silence, you learn to hear what is real, and what is real is not the story. It is the soul telling it. You have learned to listen to the words, and you have learned to listen to the silence that surrounds them. You have become a resonant chamber, a sacred space where another can feel safe enough to be heard. Now, we engage another sense, another channel of profound communication, one that operates in pure light. We learn to see, not just to look at, but to truly deeply see. For the way you look at another person can be a more powerful message than anything you will ever say. Your gaze can be a prison, or it can be a key that unlocks their soul. In our day-to-day lives, we do not truly see each other. We look at surfaces. We see a collection of features, a body, a set of clothes, and our mind instantly attaches a cascade of labels: man, woman, old, young, attractive, plain, rich, poor. We see a Rolly cashier, a boss, a stranger on the busand. We interact with the role, not with the being inhabiting it. This is a form of blindness. It is a dream state where we interact with our own mental projections, not with the living, breathing, mysterious consciousness that stands before us. To be looked at in this way is to be turned into an object. It is a lonely and dehumanizing experience, and it is the default state of our world. But perhaps you can recall a time, however fleeting, when you felt truly seen. A moment when someone's gaze met yours, and in their eyes you felt a profound recognition. There was no judgment, no desire, no agenda. There was only a simple, open, and loving acknowledgement of your existence. In that moment, you felt real. You felt your own presence affirmed. That silent gaze communicated more than 1,000 words of praise. It said, "I see you, the real you, the light in you, and you are magnificent." This is the power you hold in your own eyes. It is the power to bestow the gift of existence upon another. This power is determined by the source of your gaze. Is it coming from the ego, or is it coming from the soul? The ego uses the eyes as tools for its own agenda. There is the gaze of judgment. It is a hard, analytical gaze that scans for flaws. It is the eye of the critic, measuring and comparing. It mentally dissects the other person, taking note of their imperfections. To be looked at in this way is to feel exposed, scrutinized, and found wanting. It makes the soul retreat and the mask become thicker. There is the gaze of desire. This is the eye of want. It does not see a person, it sees a utility. It looks at another and calculates, what can you do for me? How can you serve my needs, my pleasure, my ambition? The other person becomes an object, a means to an end. This gaze, however flattering it may seem on the surface, is deeply violating. It reduces a universe of consciousness to a simple commodity. It is a gaze that takes and never gives. There is the gaze of fear. This is the shifty, avoidant gaze that cannot hold contact. It is the look of someone who is afraid of intimacy, afraid of being seen themselves. They look at you, then quickly look away, breaking the circuit of connection before it can even form. This gaze creates a feeling of instability and distrust. It silently communicates, "I am not truly here with you. I am a ghost in this conversation." And then there is the most common gaze of our time, the distracted gaze. The eyes that constantly flicker to a phone, to a television screen, to something more interesting over the other person's shoulder. This gaze is perhaps the most painful of all, for its message is simple and brutal. You are not important. You are boring. 1,000 other things are more worthy of my attention than you are. It is a slow and steady assassination of the other person's sense of worth. To see with the soul is a completely different act. It is a practice. It is a choice. The gaze of the soul is, first and foremost, a soft gaze. It is not a piercing stare that seeks to extract information. It is relaxed. The muscles around your eyes are soft. It is an open gaze, one that allows the world to come to you rather than aggressively going out to get it. It is a curious and reverent gaze. This is where our metaphor takes root. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a vast, ancient forest. The ego gaze looks at the first row of trees, labels it forest, and walks away, satisfied. The soul gaze looks with wonder. It understands that those first few trees are just the entryway. It senses the deep, mysterious life within. It wonders about the hidden clearings, the sun-dappled groves, the ancient river that flows through the heart of it. It does not claim to know the forest. It is humbled by its complexity and beauty. It wishes only to stand at its edge and appreciate its mystery. To look at another person with this gaze is to see them as that sacred forest. You look past the outer mask of their personality, the first row of trees. You hold a silent, loving curiosity for the vast, unknown world within them. You are not trying to figure them out. You are simply honoring the mystery of their being. How do we cultivate this? It begins with dropping your own labels. The next time you speak with someone, make a conscious effort to see beyond the tags your mind provides. Look into their eyes and see not a color or a shape, but a window. And behind that window, there is a consciousness looking back, a presence, just like your own. Try to see the light of that awareness. You can practice this on your own. Stand before a mirror. Your whole life, you have likely looked at your reflection with the hard gaze of judgment, cataloging your flaws. For just 1 minute, try to look at yourself with the soft gaze of the soul. Look into your own eyes. See the person who has endured every hardship you have faced. See the innocent child that still lives within you. See the light of awareness that has witnessed every moment of your life. Offer yourself the gift of a loving, accepting gaze. When you can see the sacred forest within yourself, you will be able to see it in everyone else. When you bring this gaze into a conversation, it becomes a silent form of meditation. As you listen with your empty bowl, let your eyes be soft and receptive. Let them communicate what words cannot. Acceptance, compassion, presence. You do not need to force it. You simply set the intention to see the best in them, to see the light in them, and your gaze will follow. When you grant someone the grace of this conscious seeing, you give them permission to be real. Their own mask begins to feel heavy and unnecessary in the light of your acceptance. They feel safe enough to reveal the hidden world within them. You are not just looking at a person, you are seeing a soul. And in the sacred space created by deep listening and loving seeing, a new kind of magic becomes possible. A magic where you no longer need to convince or persuade, because a connection has been forged on a level where only truth can exist. You have opened your inner ears to the language of silence and your inner eyes to the light of the soul. You have created a space of profound communion where connection happens on a level far deeper than words. In this space, the entire paradigm of how we relate to one another begins to shift, and one of the heaviest, most burdensome chains to fall away is the need to persuade. We now arrive at the liberating truth of influence without persuasion. For our entire lives, we have been taught that to have an impact, to lead, to change things, we must master the art of persuasion. We believe we must build the stronger argument, find the more clever turn of phrase, and marshal overwhelming evidence to force another person's mind to submit to our point of view. We treat conversation like a battle. We armor ourselves with facts, sharpen our tongues like swords, and go onto the field seeking victory. This entire model is born from the ego, and it is built on a foundation of illusion. Let us dissect the anatomy of persuasion. Its source is a belief in separation and conflict. It begins with the assumption, I am right and you are wrong. I possess the truth and you are in error. My task is to conquer your error with my truth. This is an act of profound arrogance. It presumes to know what is best for another soul, and it denies the validity of their own unique reality. It is an energy of force, a push that seeks to bend the world to its will. Even when cloaked in politeness, the underlying vibration of persuasion is aggressive. It is needy. It silently screams, I need you to agree with me for my reality, my identity, to feel secure. Because persuasion is a push, it unfailingly creates resistance. It is a law of physics and a law of the psyche. When you push against someone's ego, their ego will instinctively push back. Their defenses activate. They stop listening to understand and begin listening only to find ammunition for their rebuttal. The conversation degenerates from a potential connection into a court case where both sides are more interested in winning than in discovering the truth. Even if you are a master of rhetoric and you win the argument, what have you truly accomplished? You may have gained their temporary compliance but you have lost their trust. You have silenced their voice, but you have not changed their heart. You walk away with the hollow victory of a conqueror, standing alone in a territory of resentment. This is not influence. It is domination, and it is utterly powerless in the long run. Now, let us leave the battlefield and walk into the light of a different understanding. Let us replace the forceful push of persuasion with the effortless pull of resonance. Resonance is not a communication technique, it is a universal law. You have seen it in videos of two tuning forks. When one is struck and begins to vibrate, a second, identical tuning fork placed nearby will begin to vibrate in sympathy, humming with the same note, without ever being touched. It does not need to be convinced. It does not need to be argued with. It responds naturally to a frequency that matches its own essential nature. This is the secret of true influence. Every person is a complex musical instrument, a collection of hundreds of tuning forks. Many of them are dormant, covered in the dust of conditioning and fear. But deep within every soul, there is a tuning fork for truth, a tuning fork for love, a tuning fork for peace, a tuning fork for courage. When you learn to speak from the place of truth in you, your words carry a pure, clear, vibrational frequency. They are the sound of the first tuning fork. When that sound wave reaches another person, it doesn't argue with them. It simply passes through them. And if there is even a small, forgotten tuning fork for truth within them, it will begin to hum. It will resonate. This experience, for the other person, does not feel like being convinced. It feels like remembering. It feels like a yes rising from a place deeper than their mind. It feels like their own truth waking up from a long slumber, roused by the sound of your own. You have not implanted anything in them. You have simply activated what was already there. This is influence. It is not changing minds. It is awakening souls. This brings us to our central metaphor, the key to this entire understanding. Be the sun, not the salesperson. The salesperson must persuade. They must hustle. They must present benefits, overcome objections, and create a sense of urgency. Their work is an outward, effortful push. Their success is dependent on the other person's decision. Their energy is needy. The sun, on the other hand, does none of these things. The sun does not hold meetings with the planets to argue the merits of gravity. It does not try to convince Earth to continue its orbit. The sun simply, magnificently, and effortlessly is. Its influence is a byproduct of its being. It radiates its own essential nature light and warmth consistently, powerfully, and unconditionally. And the invisible law of gravity, the law of connection, holds the entire solar system in a perfect, harmonious dance around it. The planets are not forced into orbit. They are held there by the sun's immense presence, its being, its mass. Your work is to become the sun in your own life. Your influence is not determined by the cleverness of your words, but by the mass of your presence. It is the byproduct of the inner work you do. You do not work on influence, you work on yourself, and influence is the gravitational field you naturally begin to emit. How do you cultivate this resonant field? You do it by embodying the qualities of the sun. First, clarity and focus. The sun's power comes from the sustained nuclear fusion at its core. Your power comes from the clarity of your own being. This means doing the work to know your own truth, to feel your own yes and no, independent of external opinions. It means clearing the channel, as we have discussed, so that your energy is not diffused by the static of the ego. Second, consistency. The sun rises every single day. Its presence is reliable. Your influence grows when your authenticity is not a special occasion, but your consistent mode of being. It is who you are when no one is watching. This consistency builds a deep, subconscious trust in those around you. They know that what they see is what they get. Third, unconditionality. The sun shines on the saint and the sinner alike. It does not withhold its warmth from those who deny its existence or curse its name. Its radiance is an unconditional gift. This is perhaps the hardest part of the practice. To speak your truth, to radiate your love, without needing a specific outcome. To offer your light without demanding that the other person must see it or validate it. You shine not to get a response, but because shining is your nature. When you embody this, you are liberated from the exhausting game of persuasion. You no longer enter conversations with an agenda to win. You enter them with the simple intention of being true. You state your reality clearly, cleanly, and peacefully. You offer your perspective as a gift, with no strings attached. And then you release it. You allow the other person the dignity of their own journey, their own reality, and their own timing. You trust the law of resonance. If their inner tuning fork is ready to vibrate, it will. If it is not, it will not. It is not your business to force it. This is the difference between force and true power. Force is the ego's method. It is loud, it is effortful, it creates resistance, and it is ultimately weak. Power is the soul's method. It is quiet, it is effortless, it works through attraction, and it creates harmony. When you release the need to persuade others, you will find you have become more influential than you ever dreamed possible. You will no longer be a frantic salesperson trying to make a sale. You will be the sun, and the world, in its own time and its own way, will naturally orient itself toward your light. You have walked the path of resonance, learning to be the sun that influences through its very being, not through the frantic efforts of persuasion. You have tasted the freedom of this state. Yet, there remains one final, subtle chain that can pull you back into the ego's grasp. It is the attachment to the outcome. It is the silent, anxious question that follows even your most authentic expression. Did it work? Did they understand? Did they agree? What happens next? We have now arrived at the ultimate act of liberation, the practice of speaking your truth and completely releasing the outcome. This attachment is the invisible energetic cord that you send out with your words. It hooks into the other person and carries with it a silent list of demands. You must react in a way that makes me comfortable. You must validate my truth by agreeing with it. You must see me as I want to be seen. When this cord is attached, your peace is no longer your own. It is a hostage, held captive by the other person's reaction. If they respond favorably, you feel a moment of relief. If they respond with anger, misunderstanding, or indifference, the cord yanks you out of your center, and you are plunged into frustration, disappointment, and resentment. This attachment turns even the most sacred act of truth-telling into a high-stakes gamble for your own emotional well-being. It is the final bondage. To break this chain, we must fundamentally redefine our responsibility in communication. Your duty is not to the result. Your duty is only to the integrity of the expression itself. This is where we embrace our final metaphor for this part of our journey. You are the sower of seeds. Imagine you are a gardener, a tender of life. Your consciousness is the garden, and your words are the seeds you choose to plant in the world. As a conscious gardener, you have two, and only two, sacred responsibilities. First, you are responsible for the quality of the seed. You must ensure that the seeds you are sowing are of the highest nature. Are they seeds of truth or seeds of deception? Are they seeds of love or seeds of fear? Are they born from the clarity of your soul or from the murky needs of your ego? This is the work of self-awareness we have been exploring. Your first duty is to choose your seeds with impeccable care. Your second duty is simply to sow them, to speak your truth, to offer your gift, to release the seed from your hand into the soil of the world. And right there, your work is done. Your responsibility ends. The wise sower understands that they do not control the variables of creation. You do not control the soil which represents the other person's history, their conditioning, their current emotional state, their own limiting beliefs. Some soil is fertile and ready. Some is rocky and resistant. You cannot control another's soil. You do not control the weather which represents the mood and atmosphere of the moment, the external circumstances surrounding the conversation. Some days are sunny and receptive. Some days are stormy and chaotic. And most importantly, you do not control the timing of the germination. Some seeds sprout overnight. Some lie dormant for years, waiting for the right conditions, and may only sprout long after you have forgotten you even planted them. To be attached to the outcome is the act of an anxious, novice gardener who plants a seed and then stands over the spot, demanding that it sprout now, in this rocky soil, during this thunderstorm. It is an act of futility, of arrogance, and of profound exhaustion. The wise sower, the conscious communicator, plants their seed of truth and then they walk away. They walk away in a state of profound trust. A trust in the seed itself, knowing it is good. A trust in the process of life, knowing that what is meant to grow will grow. And a deep acceptance that not every seed is meant for every patch of soil. This is not failure. This is the wisdom of nature. Your success in communication is therefore not measured by the reaction you receive. It is measured by the integrity of your transmission. At the end of a conversation, the only questions you need to ask yourself are, was I true to myself? Did I speak from a place of presence and love? Was my intention to connect, not to control? If the answer is yes, then you have succeeded magnificently. The conversation was a success, even if the other person walked away angry. You have fulfilled your sacred duty. You have sown a good seed. The rest is not, and has never been, in your hands. This release is a conscious, energetic practice. After you have spoken your truth, you can visualize an energetic cord that extends from you to the other person, a cord of expectation. In your mind, with love and finality, cut that cord. Pull your energy back into your own center. The words are now a gift that has been given. They no longer belong to you. They belong to the world and to the person who received them. What they do with that gift is their choice. This act of release is an act of profound respect. It honors the other person's sovereignty. You are giving them the sacred space to have their own authentic experience. You are trusting their journey. You are acknowledging their right to disagree, to misunderstand, to not be ready. To cling to an outcome is to subtly disrespect their freedom. To release them is to truly love them. And what of those times when the outcome is unfavorable? When your truth is met with rejection or ridicule? The practice is to not allow their reaction to become your reality. You can observe their response with compassion. You can think, I see that my truth has landed in a place of pain for them. I see they are not in a space to receive this. You can feel compassion for their struggle without making their struggle about you. You do not have to absorb their reaction. Your truth remains your truth, and your peace remains your peace. You are the tree that stands firm, allowing the wind to blow past you, no longer shaken by every gust. Herein lies the final beautiful paradox. The more unattached you are to the outcome, the more powerful and influential your communication becomes. People can feel your freedom. They can sense, on a deep, intuitive level, that you do not need anything from them. You are not trying to get their vote, their approval, or their agreement. You are simply offering your presence and your truth. This lack of neediness is incredibly magnetic. It lowers their defenses. It makes them curious. It creates a safe space where they are far more likely to be open and receptive because they do not feel the subtle psychic pressure of your agenda. By letting go of control, you gain true influence. By surrendering the outcome, you find peace. You become the wise sower, walking through the garden of your life, planting seeds of beauty and truth with a light heart and an open hand, trusting the great mystery of life to take care of the rest. You speak, you release, you trust. And in that simple, three-part rhythm, you will find a freedom you never thought possible. We have journeyed far, exploring the energies of silence and presence, words and resonance. We have learned to clear the channel of our expression and to speak our truth with power and grace. But now, we must turn our focus inward to the source of it all. We must examine the single most important conversation you will ever have, the one that runs ceaselessly, day and night, from the moment you awaken to the moment you fall asleep. This is the conversation you have with yourself. Your inner dialogue is the hidden, generative source from which your entire reality is shaped. It is the background music of your life, and its melody determines everything you feel, everything you do, and everything you attract. For most of us, this inner conversation is not a conscious one. It is an inherited monologue, a relentless and often cruel narration of our lives. And the star of this inner drama is a character we all know intimately, the inner critic. This voice is the tireless guardian of your limitations, the historian of your failures. It is a perfectionist that is never satisfied, a ghost of the past that whispers every mistake you have ever made back into your ear. Its language is one of absolutes. You always fail. You never get it right. Everyone is better than you. This is a disaster. It is a master of comparison, constantly holding up an impossible standard and showing you how you fall short. It is a catastrophist, taking a small stumble and turning it into a prophecy of your ultimate doom. You may believe this voice is you. You may believe its harsh assessments are the sober, objective truth, but they are not. This voice is a recording. It is a psychic ghost made of the internalized criticisms of parents, teachers, and a society that taught you that your worth was conditional. It is the echo of old hurts and past traumas, playing on a loop, masquerading as your own rational mind. And this relentless inner broadcast of criticism, doubt, and fear is the single greatest impediment to a life of peace, power, and authentic influence. To understand its devastating effect, let us return to our metaphor of the garden. Your mind is the most fertile garden plot imaginable. It will grow, without question or judgment, whatever seed you plant within it. Every single thought, every phrase of your inner dialogue is a seed. When you allow the inner critic to rule your mind, you are, from morning to night, relentlessly sowing weed seeds. You are planting the seeds of shame, the seeds of inadequacy, the seeds of fear, the seeds of self-doubt. You water them with the attention you give them, and you fertilize them with the belief that they are true. Is it any wonder then that the garden of your life feels like a choked, tangled, and exhausting place? You are trying to feel peaceful while planting seeds of anxiety. You are trying to feel confident while planting seeds of inadequacy. You are trying to create a life of beauty and joy while constantly sowing ugliness and despair in the very soil of your consciousness. You cannot grow a magnificent forest of oaks by planting acorns of poison ivy. The outer world you experience, the difficult situations, the frustrating relationships, the lack of abundance, these are not punishments. They are the natural, inevitable harvest of the seeds you have been planting inside your own head. This process is not metaphorical, it is vibrational. Your predominant inner dialogue sets your energetic frequency. It is your vibrational set point. A constant internal monologue of self-criticism, worry, and complaint tunes your entire being to a low, dense, and contracted frequency. When you vibrate at this level, you are, by the law of resonance, a magnetic match for other things vibrating at that same low level. You attract frustrating circumstances. You notice evidence of your own inadequacy everywhere. You find yourself in conversations that reinforce your negative beliefs. It is a perfectly closed loop of self-inflicted misery. You are broadcasting a frequency of not good enough, and the universe, in its perfect, impersonal way, is simply providing you with a reality that matches your broadcast. Your body is the infallible barometer of this process. The body cannot lie. The next time you catch yourself in a spiral of negative self-talk, I invite you to pause and feel. Where is it in your body? Is it the tightening in your throat, the clenched fist in your stomach, the shallow breath and the racing heart, the tension in your jaw? That physical sensation is the feeling of a weed seed being planted. It is the feeling of your life force being diminished. That discomfort is your body's loving alarm system screaming at you, what you are thinking right now is harming you. It is against the flow of life. So how do we begin to cultivate a new garden? How do we silence the critic and plant the seeds of a beautiful reality? We do not do it by going to war. You cannot destroy the inner critic by force, for that is just the ego fighting itself, which is another form of self-attack. We do it with the gentle, persistent, and loving tools of a master gardener. We do it by introducing a new voice, the voice of your true self, the voice of the compassionate companion. This voice already exists within you. It is the quiet, wise, loving presence that has been drowned out by the critics shouting. We must learn to amplify it. The compassionate companion is not a permissive fool. It is a wise and loving mentor. Where the critic sees a mistake as a sign of your worthlessness, the companion sees it as a precious opportunity to learn and grow. Where the critic condemns you, the companion forgives you. Where the critic compares you, the companion celebrates your unique journey. Its voice is not harsh and absolute. It is gentle, patient, and reassuring. The cultivation of this new inner dialogue is a three-step practice. The first step is simple awareness. You must begin to listen to your own thoughts as if you were listening to an outside radio station. You simply notice the voice of the critic when it appears. You hear its tone, you recognize its favorite tired phrases. In the act of observing the critic, you create a separation. You realize, I am the one hearing this voice. Therefore, I am not this voice. This is the beginning of freedom. The second step is to gently question and disarm. You do not need to fight the critic. You can simply question its authority with a calm curiosity. When the voice says, "You completely failed at that," you can gently ask, "Is that absolutely true, or did I learn something important?" When it says, "You'll never be able to do that," you can counter, "Is that a fact, or is that just a fear?" When it says, "Everyone is judging you," you can ask, "Can I know that for sure, or am I projecting my own judgment?" This questioning unravels the critic's logic and reveals it for what it is, a scared, irrational ghost. The third, and most crucial step, is conscious replacement. You cannot simply create a vacuum. Once you have disarmed a weed thought, you must deliberately plant a flower thought in its place. This is where you actively invoke the voice of your compassionate companion. When the critic says, "You look terrible today," you consciously replace it with the companion's voice. "I choose to treat my body with love and respect today." When the critic shrieks, "You are an imposter," you consciously plant the thought, "I am learning and growing, and I am exactly where I need to be." This is a moment-to-moment choice. It is the active, conscious tending of your inner garden. This is not a quick fix. This is the practice of a lifetime. You have spent decades allowing the weeds to grow wild. It will take time, patience, and relentless, gentle compassion for yourself to cultivate a new landscape. You will have to pull the same weeds again and again. You will have to water your new flowers every single day with your conscious attention. But slowly, miraculously, the garden will begin to change. The inner atmosphere will shift from one of fear to one of love. And as your inner conversation transforms, your outer reality will inevitably follow. As you stop criticizing yourself, you will find you are less critical of others. As you learn to validate yourself, you will no longer desperately seek validation from the world. As you treat yourself with kindness and encouragement, you will begin to speak to others with a natural confidence and grace that you never had to force. Your relationships will deepen. Your sense of peace will expand. You will have healed your communication with the world by healing the primary communication, the one that matters most. You will have realized that your reality is not determined by what the world says to you, but by what you choose to say to yourself. You have begun the sacred work of tending to your inner garden, of transforming the conversation you have with yourself from one of criticism to one of compassion. As this new, harmonious dialogue takes root, it begins to seek expression not just through your voice, but through the very vessel of your being. We now arrive at the most honest, unfiltered, and powerful communicator you possess, your body. For your mind can be taught to lie, your words can be trained to deceive, but your body does not know how. It is the living, breathing manuscript of your unspoken truth. We live in a culture that treats the body as a machine to be disciplined or an object to be decorated. We have been taught to live in our heads, disconnected from the subtle, profound wisdom that resides in our flesh and bones. But the body is not a mute vehicle for the mind. It is a vast, intelligent sensory organ that is in constant, direct communication with your subconscious and the energetic field around you. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, triggers a cascade of microscopic, chemical, and electrical responses. Your body is a flawless polygraph, faithfully recording and displaying your true inner state in real time. This is the key to understanding its role in communication. While your conscious mind is busy crafting the perfect sentence or maintaining a social mask, your body is broadcasting the truth. It is telling the world whether you are safe or scared, open or closed, confident or insecure. Your posture, your gestures, the pattern of your breath, the tension in your muscles. This is a language far older and more honest than any spoken tongue. It is the language of being. Let us embrace our metaphor. Your body is an open book. The words you speak are merely the title printed on the cover. A person can say, "I am confident and open," and that is the title. But if the pages within that book, the physical reality of their being, are filled with the story of slumped shoulders, a shallow breath, and a clenched jaw, which story do you think the listener's soul will believe? A person's subconscious mind is a master speed reader. It doesn't get stuck on the cover. It instantly absorbs the truth written in the pages of your physical presence. When the story on the cover does not match the story in the book, it creates a feeling of dissonance, of distrust. We call this a bad vibe or a gut feeling that something is off. What we are sensing is the lie of incongruence. To become a master communicator, you must first learn to read the language of your own body. This is not about memorizing a generic dictionary of gestures. It is about cultivating an intimate, personal awareness of your own somatic signals. Let us take a brief journey through this inner landscape. Begin with your breath. Your breath is the foundational sentence of your body's story. Is it currently shallow, rapid, and high up in your chest? This is the breath of anxiety, of the fight or flight response. It tells the world you are in a state of alert, of fear. Or is your breath deep, slow, and originating from your diaphragm? This is the breath of calm, of safety, of centeredness. It tells the world you are home within yourself. Without saying a word, your breathing has already announced your fundamental state of being. Now, bring your awareness to your jaw, neck, and shoulders. For many of us, this area is a dam where we hold back a lifetime of unspoken words and suppressed emotions. When you are in a conversation and you want to say no, but you say yes, where do you feel it? Very often, the jaw tightens, the neck muscles constrict, the shoulders begin to creep up toward your ears, as if bracing for a blow. This tension is the physical embodiment of your inauthenticity. It is the body screaming the truth your mouth has just denied. Travel down to your heart center, your chest and upper back. Is your posture open, with your shoulders rolled back and your chest expansive? This is the posture of vulnerability, of courage, of an open heart. It non-verbally communicates, I am willing to connect. I am not afraid to be seen. Or is your chest caved inward, your shoulders rounded forward, as if protecting your heart? This is a posture of defense, of fear, of closure. It is a physical shield that silently says, do not come too close. I am protecting myself. You can be speaking the kindest words, but if your heart center is closed, you are broadcasting a message of retreat. Finally, bring your awareness to your gut, your solar plexus. This is the center of your intuition and your personal power. Remember a time you felt a knot in your stomach. That was your body's intelligence, signaling that something was wrong, unsafe, or out of alignment. Conversely, a feeling of calm, centered warmth in your gut is the feeling of being in your power, of standing in your truth. When your inner dialogue is one of self-criticism and fear, your body will physically tune itself to that frequency. The jaw will tighten, the shoulders will rise, the chest will collapse, the gut will clench. Your physical form becomes a living monument to your negative self-talk. And when you attempt to communicate from this constricted state, your body tells a story of fear and closure that completely undermines whatever confident words you are trying to speak. The goal, then, is congruence. Congruence is that beautiful, powerful state where your inner world and your outer world are in perfect harmony. It is when the compassionate conversation in your mind is reflected by the clear, authentic words that leave your mouth, and both are supported by a body that is open, relaxed, and grounded. This is the essence of charismatic presence. There are no mixed signals. The energy is clean, coherent, and deeply trustworthy. The open book of your body is telling the exact same beautiful story that is on the cover. In the presence of a congruent individual, we feel safe, we can relax. Our own nervous system calms down because there is nothing hidden, nothing to figure out. We are simply meeting a real person. This cannot be faked. To stand up straight and force your shoulders back to look confident when you are feeling insecure inside is just creating a more sophisticated, more exhausting mask. The body's subtle signals of tension will still betray you. The practice is not to control the body from the outside in, it is to heal the being from the inside out. As you do the deep work of changing your inner dialogue, of clearing your channel, of connecting with your authentic self, you must consciously invite your body to join you. Before you enter a meaningful conversation, take a moment. Stand and feel your feet on the earth. Take 3 deep, conscious breaths. With each exhale, give your body permission to let go of its armor. Consciously ask your jaw to soften. Invite your shoulders to drop away from your ears. Breathe space into your chest. Let your body know that in this moment, it is safe to be open. By inviting your body into a state of truth, you make it easier for your mind and your heart to follow. Your body is your most honest friend. It will never lie to you. It is your ultimate guide back to your own truth. Listen to its whispers, and you will never have to hear its screams. When you learn to inhabit your body with conscious awareness, you close the gap between who you are and how you appear. You stop just saying a message. You begin to become the message, a living embodiment of your own truth. You have walked a long and sacred path inward. You have journeyed from the noise of the world to the silence of your soul. You have learned to clear the channel of your being, to speak with a voice of authentic resonance, and to inhabit your body as a temple of truth. We now arrive at the place where all these paths converge, the final alchemy where all the separate practices of communication dissolve into a single, unified state of being. This is the ultimate goal, not to deliver a message, but to become the message. The world is drowning in words. We are saturated with eloquent speeches, brilliant philosophies, inspiring self-help books, and spiritual sermons. We have more information and more advice than any generation in history, but we are starved for truth. And truth is not a concept, it is an experience. We are tired of hearing about peace from anxious people. We are tired of hearing about love from those who cannot listen. We are tired of hearing about integrity from those whose lives are a testament to contradiction. The words, no matter how beautiful, have become a hollow echo because they are unlived. The most profound communication, the only communication that will ever truly change the world, is that which is embodied. It is the truth that is made flesh. This brings us to our simplest, most vital metaphor. Do not describe the orange. Be the orange. Imagine you wanted to convey the reality of an orange to someone who had never experienced one. You could spend a lifetime describing it. You could write poems about its radiant, sun-like color. You could deliver scientific lectures on the molecular structure of its peel, the precise pH of its juice. You could tell stories of the groves where it grew. You could compare and contrast it with other fruits. After all of this, your listener would have a collection of concepts, an intellectual idea of an orange, but they would not know the orange. Or you could simply peel one and hand them a slice. In that one silent moment of direct contact, the burst of cool juice on their tongue, the bright citrus aroma filling their senses, the satisfying texture of the fruit, they would know the truth of orange in a way that a million words could never convey. They have not heard a description of the thing. They have tasted the thing itself. This is the shift you are now called to make. Your life is no longer about describing your values. It is about embodying them so completely that others can taste your truth in your very presence. If your message is peace, you cease to be a person who merely talks about the benefits of meditation or the importance of tranquility. You become the embodiment of peace. In a moment of crisis, in a heated argument, in a chaotic environment, you become the calm eye of the storm. Your nervous system is regulated, your breath is deep, your presence is a non-reactive field of stillness. Others, in your presence, can literally taste peace. Their own frantic energy begins to calm, not because you told it to, but because it is resonating with the peace that you are. You do not need to speak of peace. You are its living demonstration. If your message is love, you cease to be a person who simply says the words, "I love you," or quotes romantic poetry. You become the action of love. You listen with the spaciousness of an empty bowl. You see with the soft, accepting gaze of the soul. You offer your forgiveness freely. You practice patience when it is difficult. You are generous with your compassion. These are not descriptions of love. They are the living taste of love. People feel loved in your presence not because of what you say, but because of how you make them feel seen, heard, and accepted. If your message is integrity, you cease to be a person who lectures on the importance of honesty. You become a person whose yes means yes and whose no means no. You do what you say you will do, not just when it is easy, but when it is hard. You are reliable. Your actions and your words are one. People around you relax because they can taste integrity in your consistency. They know they can trust you, not because you have a certificate of honesty, but because your very life is a testament to it. This is the ultimate congruence. It is the dissolution of the gap between knowing and being. In this state, the separation between the messenger and the message disappears. You are no longer a person communicating a message about peace. You simply are peace communicating itself. And the nature of this state is one of profound effortlessness. An orange does not try to be an orange. It does not wake up in the morning and consult a manual on how to be citrus-like. It simply, fully, and magnificently is itself. It effortlessly expresses its own inherent nature. A person who has truly embodied peace no longer needs to try to be peaceful. It is their natural state. The exhausting struggle to perform, to convince, to prove, to maintain a mascot, all falls away. Your being becomes your only argument. Your life becomes your irrefutable evidence. This is the most potent form of influence imaginable. It is the silent sermon. People are transformed in your presence, not by being corrected or instructed, but by being inspired. Your embodiment of a quality gives them silent permission to access that same quality within themselves. When you are the living embodiment of courage, the seed of courage within another person begins to stir. When you are the living embodiment of joy, you awaken the memory of joy in those around you. You are no longer just a tuning fork, sending out a note. You have become the note itself, a constant, resonant field that invites everything around it into a state of harmony. This is the culmination of our journey together. It is where all the inner work becomes an outer reality. The compassionate inner dialogue becomes a compassionate life. The cleared inner channel becomes a clear and transparent presence. The congruent body becomes the physical temple for a congruent soul. Your final task is not to become a better speaker. It is to become a more real human being. Let go of the need to describe the orange. Focus all your energy on the inner work of becoming it. Live your truth so fully that your very existence is the communication. Let your life, in its quiet dignity, its silent integrity, and its loving presence, be your final and most eloquent message. You have walked the great inward arc of this journey. You have learned to be silent, to be present, to be authentic. You have aligned your mind, your voice, and your body. You have reached the profound state where you no longer simply deliver a message. You have become the message. You are now a clear, coherent, resonant field of being, broadcasting your essential truth into the world without apology or agenda. And it is at this point that the nature of reality itself begins to change for you. The world ceases to be a random, chaotic place. The monologue of your life transforms into a breathtaking dialogue with the universe itself. This dialogue happens in a language that is not taught in schools. It is the subtle, magical, and deeply personal language of synchronicity. A synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence. It is an event or a series of events in the outer world that seems to be happening by chance, yet has a timing and a symbolic relevance to your inner world that is so perfect, so startling, that it sends a shiver down your spine. It is the universe winking at you. It is the cosmos leaning in to whisper a secret in your ear. It is the confirmation that you are not speaking into a void, but that a vast, benevolent intelligence is listening and responding. Why does this dialogue not happen for everyone? Why do so many people experience life as a random series of disconnected events? It is because their own broadcast is filled with noise and static. Their inner world is a cacophony of conflicting desires, unprocessed fears, and a critical inner dialogue. They are sending out 1,000 different, garbled signals at once. The feedback they receive from the universe is, therefore, equally chaotic and seemingly random. To enter into a clear conversation with the cosmos, you must first become a clear conversationalist. All the inner work you have done cultivating silence, clearing the channel, embodying your truth has not just been for the sake of your relationships with other people, it has been the necessary preparation to tune your own instrument so that you can finally hear the music of the spheres and participate in the cosmic symphony. To understand this dialogue, let us refine our metaphor of the mirror. The universe is not just a passive mirror that reflects your state back to you. It is a living, interactive, intelligent mirror. Imagine a smart mirror of the soul. When you stand before it in a state of confusion and inner conflict, it can only reflect your confusion back to you. But when you stand before it as a coherent being, centered, present, and with a clear, heartfelt intention, the mirror comes alive. It doesn't just show you your reflection, It begins to overlay your reflection with maps, with symbols, with helpful information that is directly relevant to the clear intention you are holding. It actively conspires to help you. It begins to speak to you in the language of synchronicity. This language has a vocabulary that you will learn to recognize. One of its most common words is the echo. This is when the universe directly mirrors a thought. You may be pondering a very specific, obscure question, and you walk past a cafe where you overhear strangers discussing that exact topic. You might be struggling with a decision, and you open a book to a random page, and the words on that page provide the perfect answer. This is the universe's way of saying, yes, I hear you. The question you are asking is a valid one. You are on the right track. It is a direct and immediate confirmation that your thoughts have energy and that you are being heard. Another way the universe speaks is through the signpost. It communicates in the ancient archetypal language of symbols. If you are contemplating a great leap of faith in your life, you might suddenly begin seeing eagles soaring overhead everywhere you go. If you are in a deep process of personal transformation, you might repeatedly encounter images of butterflies or of a snake shedding its skin. These are not random occurrences. They are symbols from the collective consciousness, brought to your attention at the perfect moment to offer encouragement and affirm the nature of your inner journey. The universe is using the picture book of the world to illustrate the chapter of the story you are currently living. Often, the universe will speak through the messenger. This is a person who enters your life, seemingly by chance, at the exact right moment. It could be a stranger on a plane who tells you their life story, and in it, you find the solution to your own dilemma. It could be a new friend who holds the key connection for the next phase of your career. These people are not accidents. They are answers to a call you sent out from your heart. They are messengers, dispatched by the universe, wearing the disguise of an ordinary person. And then there are the patterns, like the repeating number sequences 11, 11, 444, 1234, that so many on a spiritual path begin to notice. Do not dismiss this. It is not about numerological magic in the numbers themselves. Think of it as the universe using the simplest, most undeniable method to get your attention. It is a gentle tap on the shoulder. It is a cosmic nudge that says, pay attention right now. Your thoughts are aligned with creation. You are in a state of flow. The veil is thin. Be mindful of what you are thinking and feeling in this very moment, for it is powerful. This dialogue is not always a yes. Sometimes, the clearest communication from the universe is the closed door. When you are striving for something and you are met with one frustrating obstacle after another, a flight is cancelled, a deal falls through, a person doesn't call back, it is easy to see this as failure. But very often, it is the universe speaking in a loud, clear voice. This path is not for you. There is a higher, easier, more aligned path available. Stop pushing against this door. Turn around. The blockage is not a punishment. It is a loving redirection. The interpretation of this language is an art, not a science. It is not meant for the logical mind, which will always try to rationalize it away as coincidence. The meaning of a synchronicity is felt. It is an inner click, a feeling of resonance, a gasp of awe that sends chills through your body. It is your soul recognizing itself in the mirror of the world. To get better at hearing this language, you must cultivate a state of receptive awareness. You learn to live with open questions, holding your desires lightly, trusting that the answers will appear in their own time. You practice presence, for these signs only ever appear in the now. You keep your eyes, your ears, and your heart open to the magic of the ordinary moment. By engaging in this dialogue, your entire experience of life transforms. You move from feeling like a small, separate, isolated being, struggling against a cold and indifferent universe, to feeling like a beloved, supported, and co-creative partner in a grand and intelligent dance. You realize you are not alone. you realize you are being guided every step of the way. This fosters a profound sense of trust, allowing you to let go of the need to control every outcome and to simply flow with the signs and guidance you are receiving. When you become a clear, embodied message of truth, you become a worthy conversational partner for the cosmos. Life ceases to be a problem to be solved and becomes a beautiful mystery to be lived. Every moment becomes an opportunity for connection, for guidance, for awe. And when you live in this constant state of sacred dialogue, your every word, your every action, naturally begins to take on the quality of a prayer. You are now in a living dialogue with the universe, aware that every moment is a point of connection, every coincidence a potential message. As this awareness deepens, the artificial walls you have built in your life begin to dissolve. The most significant of these walls is the one we erect between our spiritual life and our real life. We imagine that our spiritual practice is the 30 minutes we spend on a meditation cushion or the hour we spend in a yoga class. And the rest of it, the commute, the work meetings, the grocery shopping, the family dinners we label as ordinary, mundane, and secular. This separation is the final illusion that keeps you from a life of full embodiment. The true spiritual path is not about escaping the world. It is about infusing the world with the sacred. It is not about creating a small, protected altar in a corner of your home. It is about turning your entire life into a living, breathing temple. The ultimate goal is not to have moments of peace in your day, but to have your day be a moving prayer. This is where the practice leaves the realm of theory and becomes breathtakingly practical. This is where every word becomes a prayer and every conversation becomes a ritual. Let us embrace our metaphor. Your life is a sacred temple. A great cathedral is not holy only on the days of grand ceremonies. Its sacredness is maintained and upheld by the 1,000 small, conscious, daily acts of devotion. It is sacred because someone mindfully sweeps the stone floors each morning. It is sacred because someone lovingly polishes the woodwork. It is sacred because someone takes the time to light the candles, their simple action imbued with intention and reverence. It is the consistent, conscious care that keeps the holy space holy. Without this daily tending, the grandest temple would quickly fall into dust and ruin. So it is with your life. You are the tender of your own living temple, and your primary tools for tending are your words and your attention. You can choose to treat your interactions as meaningless, transactional, and mundane, or you can choose to see each one as an opportunity to sweep the floor, to light a candle, to bring a moment of sacredness into the world. Consider the interaction with a cashier at the supermarket. The mundane approach is to see it as a purely functional transaction. You avoid eye contact, you check your phone, you offer a mumbled, automatic thanks as you grab your receipt. The moment is empty, transactional, and it leaves both you and the cashier feeling slightly more like objects than human beings. The floor of your temple has just gathered a bit more dust. The sacred approach, the ritualistic approach, is to see this as a micro-opportunity for connection. For those 30 seconds, you offer the cashier the gift of your full presence. You make soft, gentle eye contact, seeing them not as a functionary, but as a fellow soul. When you say, "Thank you," you pause for a nanosecond and actually feel a flicker of gratitude for their service. You offer a genuine smile. In that moment, you have lit a small candle in the vast temple of your day. You have honored the divine in another, and in doing so, you have honored it in yourself. The energy of the exchange is elevated. Both of you walk away feeling slightly more seen, more human. Think of the emails you write to your colleagues. The mundane approach is terse, demanding, and purely functional. It is an energy of push and take. The ritual approach is to take 10 extra seconds to imbue the message with respect. You begin with a warm and genuine greeting. You phrase your request as a collaboration rather than a demand. You end with a note of appreciation. You have just mindfully polished the altar of your professional life, replacing the energy of friction with the energy of grace. This practice extends to every corner of your life. Greeting your child in the morning can be a mindless rush, or it can be a sacred ritual of connection where you pause, look them in the eyes, and offer them the pure energy of your love before the day begins. Navigating traffic can be an exercise in frustration and anger, or it can be a practice of sending silent blessings to the other drivers, transforming your car into a mobile sanctuary of peace. As you begin to treat every interaction as a ritual, you will find that the nature of your words begins to change. They are no longer just tools for conveying data. They become vessels for your highest intention. This is how every word becomes a prayer. We must redefine prayer. A prayer is not merely an act of petitioning an external deity for favors. In its most profound sense, a prayer is any thought, word, or intention that is consciously aligned with the highest frequencies of love, truth, and beauty. It is an active broadcasting of a sacred vibration. Seen through this lens, your entire vocabulary can be sanctified. The simple words, "thank you," cease to be a reflex of politeness and become a potent prayer of gratitude, acknowledging the grace that flows through your life. "I'm sorry" transforms from a grudging admission of fault into a sacred prayer of humility, a ritual act of mending a tear in the fabric of connection. When you truly listen to someone and say, "I hear you," you are not just confirming receipt of sound waves. You are offering a prayer of presence, a holy recognition of another's soul. You can begin to practice the art of the silent blessing. When you see someone struggling, instead of judging them, you can silently think, "May you be at peace." When someone acts with anger towards you, instead of reacting, you can hold the inner prayer, "May you be healed." This practice is a powerful alchemy. It instantly transforms your own inner state from one of agitation and judgment into one of boundless compassion and grace. You are no longer adding to the world's pain. You are actively applying a balm of high vibrational energy. When every action is performed with this level of conscious presence, it becomes a ritual. When every word is imbued with this level of sacred intention, it becomes a prayer. Your life is no longer a series of mundane tasks and obligations. It becomes a single, continuous, and beautiful ceremony. Making your morning tea is a ritual of gratitude for the new day. The way you prepare a meal is a ritual of love for your family. The way you engage in your work is a ritual of service. You erase the line between the sacred and the secular by making everything sacred. You do not need to retreat to a monastery to live a life of devotion. Your office, your kitchen, your car, the checkout line, these are the altars and prayer halls of your living temple. By tending to them with your conscious, loving presence, you infuse your entire existence with a quiet, powerful, and unshakable holiness. And from this holy space, your very being becomes a force for healing in the world. You have consecrated your life, turning every interaction into a ritual and every word into a prayer. You have aligned your being with the highest frequencies of truth and love. From this sacred, integrated space, your words naturally acquire a new, luminous quality. They are no longer just tools for communication. They become instruments of grace. You discover within yourself the quiet, profound, and undeniable power to heal with words. Think of the words that have been spoken to you in your life. Some of them were poison. They were sharp, careless, or cruel, and they left invisible wounds that for some of us have been festering for decades. A cutting remark from a parent, a shaming criticism from a teacher, a betrayal from a friend. These words had the power to shape your beliefs about yourself and the world. But you can also likely remember words that were medicine. A moment when someone's kindness broke through your despair. A time when a few simple words of encouragement gave you the strength to continue. A sincere apology that mended a broken heart. Words hold the power to wound, but they also hold the miraculous power to heal those very same wounds. This power is not a rare, mystical gift. It is a natural capacity within you, a choice that becomes available when you learn to speak from the soul. To heal with words is to consciously choose to use your language as a force for mending, for soothing, for connection. It is to see the world as a place filled with quiet suffering and to see yourself as a potential source of relief. There are 3 essential medicines you have in your apothecary. The first, and perhaps most potent, is the medicine of acknowledgement. The deepest wound for many human beings is the wound of invisibility. It is the feeling of being unseen, unheard, and that their inner reality is invalid. We walk through a world that constantly overlooks us, and this creates a profound sense of loneliness and self-doubt. The medicine of acknowledgement is the antidote. It is the verbal expression of the loving gaze. It is the act of seeing another's reality and reflecting it back to them with acceptance. This is not about agreement or praise. It is simply about witnessing. When a friend tells you of their struggle, instead of immediately offering advice, you can administer this medicine by saying, "It sounds like that was incredibly painful for you." These simple words are a miracle. They say, "I hear you. I see your pain. Your experience is real to me." When a colleague shares an idea with passion, you can say, "I can see how much this means to you. Thank you for sharing it." You are validating their inner fire. Acknowledgement is the act of holding up a clear mirror to another person, allowing them to truly see themselves and feel the profound relief of existence. It heals the wounds of loneliness and isolation and restores a sense of dignity and worth. The second medicine is the sincere apology. The wounds of injustice, of being wronged or betrayed, create a heavy, energetic armor around the heart. This armor, made of resentment and hurt, blocks intimacy and poisons our peace. A true healing apology is one of the most powerful spiritual acts, for it requires the complete dissolution of the ego. It is not the grudging, self-serving apology so common in our world. "I'm sorry if you were offended," or "I'm sorry but you were being difficult." These are not apologies. They are justifications disguised as apologies. A healing apology, the kind that can mend the fabric of connection, has 3 clean parts. First, a clear acknowledgement of the specific action. When I said those words yesterday, I was not being kind or respectful. Second, a genuine expression of remorse for the impact it had. I can see that it caused you pain, and for that, I am truly and deeply sorry. Third, and most importantly, a commitment to future action. I am going to work on being more mindful in how I speak. To offer such an apology is to lay down your own sword and shield. It is a vulnerable act of peace. For the person receiving it, it is a key that unlocks the armor of resentment. It tells them their pain was seen and honored. It restores a sense of justice and allows them to let go of the burden of their grievance. It is a cleansing rain for both souls, washing away the residue of conflict and allowing for a new beginning. The third medicine is that of encouragement. The world is governed by a gravitational pull towards doubt. The wounds of inadequacy and fear keep so many souls small and paralyzed, afraid to take risks, afraid to share their gifts. Encouragement is the anti-gravity of the soul. It is the act of seeing the seed of potential in another person and watering it with your belief in them. This is not empty flattery. It is specific, sincere recognition. It is seeing a friend struggle to learn a new skill and saying, "I know this is hard, but I've seen how determined you are. I have no doubt you will master this." It is seeing a child hesitate in fear and saying, "You are so brave, I believe in you." These words are powerful acts of creation. You are lending your strength to another. You are holding up a vision of their highest self and inviting them to step into it. Your belief can act as a bridge for them, allowing them to cross the chasm of their own self-doubt. You are not just speaking words, You are transmitting courage. You are speaking their future strength into their present reality. To wield these medicines effectively, we must embrace our final metaphor for this practice. Your words are a soothing balm. The world is full of people walking around with the invisible scrapes, bruises, and burns of daily life. In every conversation, with every word you choose, you are either unconsciously pouring salt on those wounds, or you are consciously applying a healing balm. The choice to become a healer is the choice to always, as best you can, reach for the balm. Of course, you cannot offer a medicine you do not possess. Your ability to speak healing words to others is a direct reflection of your ability to speak them to yourself. The practice of healing begins in the soil of your own inner dialogue. As you have learned to apply the balm of compassion to your own perceived flaws, as you have learned to acknowledge your own feelings, apologize to yourself for your self-criticism, and encourage yourself through your fears, you naturally become an expert in healing. You know what is needed because you have administered the medicine to the patient you know best, yourself. This transforms communication from an act of getting something to an act of giving something. In every interaction, you can hold the quiet intention. How can I be a source of ease here? What words would soothe? What would mend? This does not mean you become a therapist to the world. It simply means you choose the path of grace. You choose the words that build up rather than tear down. Sometimes, the most healing act is to offer the medicine of your silent, compassionate presence, allowing another to simply be. But never underestimate the power of a few simple, sincere, and well-timed words. They can be a light in the darkness, a raft in a storm, a key that unlocks a prison of pain. You have, within your very breath, the power to mend, to soothe, and to heal. Choose to use it. Choose to be the balm. You have learned to wield your words as instruments of healing, applying them like a soothing balm to the wounds of the world. You have witnessed their power to mend and restore in the present moment. We now come to the final expansion of our understanding, a journey beyond the limits of the present moment and into the vast, timeless nature of your own voice. For the truth is that your words, especially those born from the deepest authenticity of your being, do not vanish when the sound dissipates. They are packets of energy, of intention, of consciousness. And once released, they begin a journey of their own, rippling through space and time in ways you can scarcely imagine. This is your echo. This is your legacy of sound. We live with the pervasive illusion that our words are temporary and disposable. We speak them, the sound waves travel and fade, and we believe the act is finished. This belief allows us to be careless. It allows for the casual cruelty, the thoughtless complaint, the lazy gossip. We act as though our words are written on a whiteboard, easily erased and forgotten. But the universe does not operate like a whiteboard. It operates like a vast, interconnected, energetic field, a cosmic memory. Every word spoken is a vibration that is added to this field. It is never lost. Think of it this way. Every word spoken from a place of fear adds one more drop of poison to the collective atmosphere of fear on this planet. Every word of judgment adds to the dense, heavy cloud of separation and criticism. Conversely, every word of sincere encouragement adds to the global field of courage. Every word of unconditional love adds to the frequency of love that envelops the world. We are not isolated speakers. We are all, with every word we utter, co-creating the psychic and energetic weather system of humanity. Most do this unconsciously. The conscious individual understands this profound responsibility and chooses to be a force that purifies the atmosphere, not one that pollutes it. To grasp the nature of your legacy, let us embrace our final and most expansive metaphor. Your life is a stone dropped into the still, clear lake of humanity. The moment you are born, the stone enters the water. Your every thought, every action, and every word creates ripples that spread out from you in all directions. Most people are like rough, jagged stones thrown into the lake with no thought or care. They create a chaotic splash, a messy, discordant disturbance. The ripples they generate are confused and choppy, interfering with one another and quickly fading into nothingness. Their legacy is one of noise and turbulence. The conscious individual, the person who has done the deep inner work we have explored, becomes a different kind of stone. They become smooth, perfectly weighted, and are dropped into the lake with clear, loving intention. They enter the water cleanly, and the ripples they create are beautiful, coherent, concentric circles that travel with grace and power, expanding ever outwards, maintaining their integrity for an incredible distance. This is the echo of a true voice. Let us follow the journey of one such ripple, created by a single, authentic communication. This is the first circle, the one you can see. Imagine you speak a word of genuine, heartfelt encouragement to a child who doubts their own artistic talent. You see the seed of a gift in them, and you water it with your belief. They feel seen. They feel your truth. That is the first ripple. It has changed that one person in that one moment, but it does not stop there. This is the second circle. Bolstered by your belief, the child finds the courage to practice, to develop their talent. Years later, they become an artist. They create a piece of work, a painting, a song, a story that is filled with beauty and truth. This work then touches the hearts of hundreds, perhaps thousands of people you will never meet. It provides them with solace, with inspiration, with a moment of transcendence. Your one ripple of encouragement to a single child has now ascended, its effect multiplied 1,000-fold, and the story continues. This is the third circle, and the circles beyond, which stretch into infinity. A young person, moved by the art that was created because of your long-ago encouragement, decides to become an artist themselves. Another person, finding comfort in that art during a dark time, finds the strength to heal a relationship with their own child. And in that healed relationship, they speak their own words of encouragement, passing on the very energy you first initiated. Your one small act of authentic communication has now rippled across generations. It is woven into the lives of people who will be born long after you are gone. They will never know your name. They will never know you existed. But their lives will be subtly, undeniably better because of a single moment in which you chose to speak from your soul. This is not a fantasy. This is the simple, awesome mechanics of energetic transmission. Every word you speak holds this same potential, for good or for ill. A cutting remark also ripples outward as trauma and pain passed from one person to the next. The choice of which ripple to create is always yours. Now, we must take one more step into a more profound mystery. Our understanding of the world is largely bound by linear time, past, present, future. But consciousness itself may not be so constrained. Many mystical traditions speak of a timeless field where all that has ever happened and all that will ever happen is recorded. You can think of it as a cosmic library, an energetic archive, or the book of life. Every event leaves an indelible energetic trace in this field. When you speak a word of pure, high-vibrational truth, a word of unconditional love, of profound forgiveness, of unshakable courage, you are not just creating a ripple in the lake of humanity. You are creating a luminous entry in this timeless library of consciousness. Your true voice becomes a permanent part of the universe's memory of its own highest potential. It becomes a star in the inner cosmos. And this star does not just sit there, archived and forgotten. Its light continues to shine. Its energy continues to resonate. It is possible that a soul in the distant future, in a moment of deep despair and confusion, may be searching for an answer, for a sliver of hope. And in their quiet, receptive state, their consciousness may tune in to the frequency you broadcasted today. They may not hear your words, but they will feel the energy of your courage. They will feel the resonance of your love. Your voice, your true voice, becomes a guiding light for them, a silent source of strength transmitted across the ages. By speaking your truth today, you can become a spiritual ancestor to a future humanity, leaving a legacy of high vibration that they can draw upon for their own evolution. This is the ultimate significance of your voice. This is your legacy of sound. So I ask you to consider this. When your brief and precious time in this form is over, when your body has returned to the earth and your name is forgotten, all that will truly remain of you is this echo. What will be the quality of the sound you leave behind? Will it be the jarring noise of complaint and judgment, or will it be the beautiful, harmonious tone of a life lived in truth and spoken with love? This is not a burden. It is our greatest privilege, to live and to speak with such conscious care that our voice becomes a healing, inspiring, and timeless force for good in the universe. This is a new definition of immortality, not the survival of your name or your ego, but the eternal, beneficial ripple of your authentic, loving energy. To achieve this, to create such a legacy, our voice must be tuned to the most fundamental, most powerful, and most enduring frequency in all of creation. We have arrived at the very heart of the great mystery, the source from which all true communication flows, and the destination to which it returns. We have asked what gives a voice its timeless power, its healing grace, and its ability to leave a beautiful and lasting echo in the world. We have journeyed through silence, presence, authenticity, and a dozen other sacred portals of the soul. Now, we find that all paths have led us here, to one final, simple, and all-encompassing truth. The final word is love. This is not the sentimental, conditional, and fleeting emotion that we so often call by that name. It is not the grasping, needy love of the ego. We are speaking now of love as a fundamental force of creation. It is the cohesive energy that holds the galaxies in a silent cosmic dance. It is the intelligence that guides a seed to break through the dark earth and reach for the sun. It is the boundless, unconditional, creative power that is the very essence of existence itself. It is the baseline frequency of all being, and it is the only language the universe truly understands. Every other principle we have explored on this journey is simply a different name, a different facet of love. What is authentic presence, if not loving another person enough to offer them the totality of your attention? What is the empty bowl of listening, if not loving another enough to silence your own ego and create a sacred space for them? What is speaking your truth with courage, if not an act of profound self-love? What is the power to heal with words, if not the direct application of a loving intention? All the paths lead back to this one central sun. To make this practical, let us use our final metaphor for this journey. Love is the pure, white light of creation. This light contains within it all possibilities, all colors. Our communication in the world is like this light passing through the prism of a specific life situation. As it passes through the prism, the white light refracts into a spectrum of colors. Sometimes, the situation calls for the color of fierce protection. Sometimes, it calls for the color of gentle compassion. Sometimes, the color of joyful celebration. The mistake we make is in thinking that these colors are separate things. They are all just different expressions of the one original white light. The key to masterful, influential, and healing communication is to ensure that whatever color your words must take, they are always illuminated by the pure, white light of a loving intention. Sometimes, the most loving communication is the color of a fierce, protective boundary. Sometimes the most loving word you can utter for yourself and for another is a clean, clear, and unapologetic number. To say no to a request that violates your integrity is an act of self-love. To say no to behavior that is harmful or disrespectful is an act of love for the integrity of the relationship itself. It is not an act of rejection, It is an act of clarification. It is the bright red light of love that says, "Here is the line of respect. For you to be in my life, and for me to be in yours, we must both honor it." Spoken without anger, but with the calm, grounded energy of self-respect, a no can be one of the most healing words in existence. Sometimes, love takes on the color of a difficult truth. There are times when the most loving thing you can do for someone you care about is to hold up a mirror to a behavior that is hurting them or others. This is not judgment. Judgment speaks from the ego's desire to be superior. Love speaks from the heart's desire for the other's highest good. To deliver a difficult truth with love means you first divest yourself of any need to be right. You speak with humility and compassion, from a place of "I care about you, and I am concerned," rather than "You are wrong, and I am here to fix you." This is the deep, clear, sapphire blue light of love. It can be painful to receive in the moment, but it is the kind of pain that leads to growth and liberation. And so often, love takes on the color of unconditional acceptance. This is the warm, golden light of the sun that shines without asking for anything in return. This is the love that listens with the empty bowl. This is the love that sees with the soft gaze. This is the love that simply says, with its presence, "You are safe here. You can be exactly as you are. You do not need to perform or pretend." This is the love that creates the space for another person's own healing to unfold. It is the most powerful passive force in the universe. The form of your communication will change. You will not always be soft. You will not always be yielding. But the one constant, the source of your power, is the intention behind the form. Is it love? Is it a genuine desire for the highest good of all involved, including yourself? If the answer is yes, then your communication, no matter its color, will be pure. It will be heard. It will resonate with the frequency of truth that lives in every soul. The practice of this is a profound shift in orientation. It is the practice of moving the seat of your intelligence from your head to your heart. Before you speak, especially in a challenging situation, you can learn to pause, to take a breath, to drop your awareness out of the calculating, strategic mind and into the warm, spacious feeling center of your chest. And from that space, you ask one simple question: what would love say here? What would love do here? Not, what is the smartest thing to say? Not, how can I win this argument? Not, how can I protect my ego? But simply, what is the most loving response? The answer that arises from that quiet, heart-centered space will always be the right one. It will be imbued with a wisdom that transcends the cleverness of the mind. It will be the word of power. It will be the word of healing. It will be the word of truth. So we have journeyed through the great landscape of communication, from the smallest techniques to the grandest philosophies. And we arrive here at the ultimate simplification. If you remember nothing else from our time together, remember this: it is all about love. Love is the source of the silent presence. Love is the energy of the resonant word. Love is the compassion in the healing apology. Love is the courage in the difficult truth. Love is the grace in the unconditional acceptance. Love is the path, the practice, and the destination. It is the first word that sparked creation, the final word that gives a life its meaning, and the timeless echo you will leave behind. To communicate is simply to practice love in the world of words. And so, our journey through the inner landscape of the voice comes to a gentle close. We began in the great, resonant silence, and it is to that same silence we now return, not as we were, but transformed. You came here, perhaps, seeking a key to influence, a secret to being heard, a technique for a more powerful way of speaking. What you have discovered, I hope, is that the journey was never outward, into the world of techniques, but inward, into the reality of your own being. You learned that the most powerful words are born not from a clever mind, but from a still and silent soul. You found that your presence, the simple, undivided fire of your attention, speaks with more volume than any word you could ever utter. You have walked the path of embodiment, realizing that your life itself must become the message you wish to share with the world. We have traveled from the mechanics of communication to the mystery of communion and found, in the end, that every true word, every authentic expression is simply an act of love. Forget the strategies. Let the theories dissolve. If you are to carry one thing with you from this shared space, let it not be a rule, but a new way of being. Let it be this: be still, listen to the sacred silence from which you came, and to which you will return. It is the source of all things, and it is your true home. And when you choose to speak, let your every word be a testament to that quiet, knowing presence. Do not just speak, resonate. Do not just inform, connect. Do not just be a voice that fills the air. Be the silence that holds the voice, that gives it its meaning and its depth. In the end, this is the great secret. Your task is not to craft the perfect message. Your task is to become the perfect space from which all messages can arise in truth and love. Be the message, but also be the space. Be the sound, but also be the silence. For your greatest influence, your most enduring legacy, the only thing that will ever truly matter is not found in what you say, but in the beautiful, resonant, and loving truth of who you are. There is nothing more to learn. There is only you. Be still and listen.